Welcome everybody to Dope Check episode 6. We are joined by the EU GOAT, Trei, Zer0. We gotta, hey yo, someone tell Ruse we gotta get this intro updated ASAP Rocky, man. It's just me and Rab on there. We gotta get Trei's beautiful face on there as well very, very soon. How are we feeling today, boys?
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, like, what a player. To be fair, if people haven't seen the trophy yet, Trey, got to hold it up because they might. I know that they would have seen it, but those that are watching on YouTube right now wouldn't have seen the intro.
It does get shown a lot, but
hey, don't hurt your arm, bro. Don't hurt your arm. I know it's heavy. Relax, bro.
It's like winning the Champions League. Honestly, I don't know why it's that big.
It's fantastic. That's one of the best things that European Connor's ever won, and this man has it right here.
Absolutely.
You should see me trying to get that home. That was the issue. That suitcase had to pay $100 extra to get that back home because it weighed my suitcase down extra.
No way.
The league didn't even help out on that. That's insane. But hey, guys, talking about, let's dive in, right? Major 1, we have a lot to talk about today. So, Major 1, let's start off with the talk of the Ravens. Should we start off there?
I think we do Ravens straight up because Trey, you love this organization. It's one of your favorites. to my knowledge, just a great org, aren't they? Really all round, like from sorting out visas for guys like Real, to putting together great rosters at the start of seasons. You just gotta love this org, haven't you, Trey?
I mean, listen, one of the top echelon orgs, top tier. Don't let anyone down, anything like that. So, we can talk about them. The saving face for them right now is that they do have Clay. And he is, everyone loves Clay and the team they have. But yeah, talking about, visa issues and stuff like that, not very good with it.
Poor Real, man. That's tough.
I went through I went through the exact same thing. So I assume they used the exact same lawyer.
So what actually happened to you then? Like, can you explain the story? Because Real said a lawyer fucked my season, but I don't really know, like, has he been rejected? Is the lawyer just dog shit? Like,
we had, I assume we had different situations because my visa was running out. I had like 30 days left of my visa. So when I signed my contract in Cold War, my agent told, it was OD at the time, told him to send me to the States, like, because if you travel to the States with your visa and apply for an extension when you're out there, you're good. Like, there's no issue. So they told me to send me out there straight away, and OD said, no. The league's gonna put us on a list, so we'll be exempt, and it's 100% happening. So don't worry about it. And it just didn't happen, and that's why I pretty much didn't play all of Cold War in the league because OD didn't listen to my agent, and it just led down to, that was just COVID times, but it just came down to the fact that he just didn't listen to my agent. I genuinely, that's probably like an ego thing, like wanting to be right about the situation of like, the league's putting us on the list instead of just sending me out there. And that's pretty much how they run, from my experiences. They're not very smart when it comes down to like being quick and fast and everything that revolves around that.
From the beginning of it, as soon as I heard there was going to be visa issues with Real, like as soon as I heard that initially, I'm going to say my gut feeling was that he wasn't going to end up playing. Once I heard because, I mean, the team itself, from obviously all the great talk that you've chatted with me about and some of the other people who've publicly on Twitter gone ahead and mentioned the organization before, once it was a little shaky, I mean, getting a visa from, my family is first generation immigrant parents, a lot of people abroad and stuff. We've had to bring people to the United States. Visas aren't cheap, right? It's not an easy process. You're paying a lawyer. There's fees that go along with that. If the org is having trouble paying out certain people these extra expenditures like a visa, to me, as soon as I heard it was a problematic, I really thought Real's chances of getting over to the States were pretty much all but slim once I heard the initial news.
I mean, honestly, it made kind of like no sense to me to get rid of Nastie from that team. From knowing like everything, like what happened that year, he's still one of the best players I've ever played with in terms of talent wise, and he signed like a multi-year deal with them. And when he got dropped, and I found out they were like the league was making people move to like transition to all American based. I was like, oh, it makes sense. They're just going to pick up a full NA team. And then Real got on the team again, which made no sense to me because it just wasn't, it was just extra money that I knew London just, in my mind, I feel like London just wouldn't pay for it. Or Carolina, should I say.
Right, right. So yeah, it definitely is a little hectic, and it's sad to see Real go out that way. But I mean, Major 1, they come in hot. TJ Halley, fellow comes in. They do manage to surprise and shock a few people by winning a series. Do we think that the team is gonna have continued success in the next couple, into the next qualifying stage, the Miami qualifier?
Is this a honeymoon period?
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
Is this the honeymoon period? Or do they, brand new team and all that? Is TJ going to continue being good in S&D or in respawns, or is this just a one major honeymoon period phase for Ravens?
I actually really like what they did with their team. I think you could also see it in the online stint where they played FaZe. They took them to 5. Like, FaZe lost, 5 maps in their online split, and 2 of them were to Ravens, something like that. Which was, and sure, the major was a little bit different. I think Ravens this tournament played at like a top 6 level. They really should have beaten Surge. It was unforgivable, the fact that they didn't beat Surge in that map for Hardpoint. iLLeY popped this insane 3-piece on that Broken Hill, or whatever it's called. And, I mean, if you look at the screenshot, they were up 225 to 158. They had full rotation. It was in an impossible situation to lose, but somehow they lost it, and then they bottled the Game 5, of course. Yeah, a bit of an S&D disaster class. I know that Fed only came on the couch where we were. Asim was saying, our search is like bad online, but better on land because they won that one against the Subliners, but it didn't really come to play in the next series. But I think Clay, you get a lot out of him with fellow on board, is my feeling. That duo seems to work really well. And Clay's been cooking. I don't know if it's just this game. I know you can talk about this as well. Ace on Lamar.
Yeah.
But Lamar's been good. Clay's been good. Attach has been good. Slasher wasn't really good until LAN, but Slasher on LAN. Like, all these kind of old guys are cooking on this game. Like, Trey, do you think if you came back, you'd be frying again? Because the old man ARs, it tends to be a good game for them.
I mean, I still feel like I could compete, yeah, but, those guys right now are definitely way better than me. When I retired, I did not touch COD, and I've only recently carried on playing right now. So I do feel like the game is very slow, and with how the spawns are now to how they were back then, all the hills are very kill hoary. You got the invasion, for example. You rotate, you're guaranteed full 60s on hill, which means you're guaranteed kills, which makes the ARs look better. I know there's not very much sub dominance in some of these maps. You see a lot of 3 ARs and stuff like that, and that's just that's just how COD is nowadays. The ARs have always been very good. The subs are very good, but not to the extent they're not very versatile as much as the AR is. The AR can do it up close. I'm telling you this. I'm telling you,
Trey,
they're not.
Trey, why are we
the sub is great. Let's not get it wrong. But I promise you, if you gave them the choice between the AR is by far the most fun stuff to use. Apart from Vanguard. Vanguard now
MW2, Vanguard, World War II, Cold War.
You thought the Vaz was better than the attack?
Yes. The Vaz thing was insane.
I'm not commenting on this.
You could map people with the Vaz thing. Or Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4. Bro, what are we talking about? No, the sub is the dominant.
I mustn't have had the sub players, man. I mustn't have had the sub players.
No,
I remember you on the Sorg and Black Ops 4 cooking.
Yeah,
Grapple Sorg.
I will say that if Trey came back, he would be very good in this game. Of course. This game is built for players that actually understand how to play COD and not just lucky chance players that play corners and don't know how to rotate. Most of these challengers players who've been playing the last 2-3 years with snaking, kind of bad games, fugazi games, are getting punished to death in this game because it actually rewards. Bro, I've seen so many people saying Skid Row's a bad map, Invasion, at least even Major 1, these new spawns or new hills are bad, but the Invasion before, Skid Row currently, are good maps. You just have to be the one to rotate properly and always be early, and that's how COD should be played. So all the guys who everyone's counting out, who've been dealing with snaking, bad games, bad maps, fugazi spawns, finally are being rewarded for playing COD properly. So someone like Trei coming back, I guarantee you, if Kremp came back, if Karma came back, these guys would make a killing, not just because they're some of the greatest players of all time, but because this COD rewards the proper play style of the OGs and the great COD players.
You like that, Trei? Trei, Kremp, Karma, same sentence. I like that.
Hey, all I'm saying is FaZe put me A tier, Scump put me A tier. You know, it speaks for itself, you know.
Right, let's talk about the subliners because we've got lots of teams to get into today.
Yeah.
What the hell happened with New York, Ace? Because I ain't gonna lie, the guys on the flank, and understandably, look, I'm the same OpTic of the storylines. It is what it is. But it feels to me that there's been so much talk about these other teams. Talk about FaZe, how they bottled the finals. Talk about OpTic, how the playstyle doesn't work. New York are the world champions. They come in and got slammed out top 12 by the Ravens that we just mentioned. So what exactly is going on here? Because I'm not going to lie, when I was watching online at the start of this season, it still felt to me that Hydra was basically the best player in the game. Like, watching his PoE was unbelievable.
Okay.
But he hasn't quite had the same impact. And they've just been mid to bad in respawn. Their search and destroys bailed them out. They go to the major, their search isn't as good, and bang, they're out of the tournament. I know that Rokkr series was questionable. There were lots of replays. There was lots of drama. But, you know, they didn't even, it wasn't even close against Ravens, really. They got 250 to 120 on the terminal.
Okay. So, subliners have been getting bailed out a lot online due to their S&D prowess. They were by far the best S&D team online across the board. The respawns, though, if you actually watched COD and not just took the analysis of just like the record, most of the games were close. They got bailouts to win the games, to win some of them, and controls, they were atrocious. So although they were a top team per standings, they were definitely the sketchiest top team amongst them all. Like, they weren't winning decisively. It wasn't like Toronto and FaZe, maybe on first hard points, were having a little bit of trouble, but overall it was decisive wins across the board. With New York, even before, if you really looked into it and watched the matches, they were having a tough time. And when it comes to LAN, obviously LAN plays differently than online COD. I'm sure Trei could speak to this. Any pro you ask can speak to this. So it got to LAN, their mistakes and their flaws were fully exposed. Their biggest issues, if you really watch, is tending to pinch randomly, which would work in MW2, but does not work in MW3. A lot of these like random pinch plays that Hydra likes to make, and some kids in Hydra like to make, ends up with spawns flipping, and it causes a lot more chaos in this game than it did in previous CODs. That's mistake number one. Another thing that this is a third party, but it's being telephoned to me that vibes seemed a little weird with them at the major. So I don't know what was coming in there. I don't know what was happening, but I got some secondhand or third-hand knowledge telephoned to me that something felt off with them coming into this major. And quote, the vibe was off. So however you can take that, whatever you make of that, do with that as you will. But gameplay-wise, sketchy. Vibes apparently going into this LAN, a little sketchy. Do I think they can turn it around? Yes, you got an amazing coaching staff and some of the best players in the world in this team. But yeah, I think it's good that they got this out of the way for Major 1, getting slammed like this, because now you come back to the board knowing that you're not the world champ anymore. It's a new game, it's a new season, and you have to perform. You have to perform. You can't just sit back.
You were on this team, Trei, huh? Well, not on this team, but you're on this franchise. Back in the day.
Yeah, it's a great team, honestly. Unreal. Yeah. Loved every second of it. Loved it. Nah, there's one thing that I remember in New York is that they strive for greatness, as an organization or, as a company, whatever you want to call it. Especially their coach, like Ace said, Zer0, he's not going to have this. Like, he wants to be the very best. He has that persona about him, that aura. Especially with the players as well. Like, I feel like sometimes you just have one bad event, and if they don't, obviously if they don't fry next event or come out and do anything next event, then then you look at something else a bit more internally with the players changing them and whatever like that. But, I feel like you can have just one bad event. It happened to me multiple times. It happens to, happens to a bunch of teams. It's all about the bounce back. And if they don't bounce back, then you look at what the other issues could be, and it could be, it could be what Ace said, how the subs just go a bit too rogue and try and make plays. Like I do remember watching last year when we watched Hydra, I'd be like, no, just stay down, go and like sit down, stay in the hill, like it's more safer, like you're still gonna guarantee it. And he would flank and pop a 3-piece. I feel like in this game it is much harder. There's no squad spawns in this game either, I don't feel like. So, every step you take on the map is more influential than the ones we did take last year. So, do I have a doubt in my mind that they're not going to come back? No, they'll come back. I also don't know if Sib's still got hand issues or anything like that. I don't know if that's been sorted out. I did read about that. So, if the vibe's off, the vibe's off. Like I've been in teams, even last year, our vibe was off completely for one of the majors, and we got bopped. We got smoked. So that's just how it is. A lot of people don't really see what goes on behind the scenes, which is understandable. A lot of people keep it like, tight knit, private, and all that kind of stuff. So, whatever is happening over there, I hope they get it sorted out, because I do believe they are, still capable of being world champions.
My one big concern with them is my last note on the Subliners is that this new patch actually is worse for spawn. So like, you get punished more for hitting pinches and influencing spawns the wrong way. So that's something where although I do believe in them as players and as a coaching staff and as an organization, I'm concerned with this patch and these guys playing on it, because if they don't adapt quickly, it's actually the punishment for how it influences the game and the spawns is going to be worse on this patch. So that's my one concern with them. Overall, though, you can't chalk it up to one series. Great players. They're going to turn it around. But the people that sent them to losers bracket, let's talk about them for a second. I'm a little excited to talk about them, man. We got Rokkr. Let's jump over to their player cards, too. Don't look as pretty as the New York ones with like 90, 2+ 90s and a couple 280s in there. But you do have, bad boy Lins, a European player. Trei, I actually specifically
Bad boy Lins, is that what he goes by? Is that what I say?
Yeah, dinner. That's what we call him. If you don't say bad boy Lins, he doesn't even look at you. So, okay. Nah, Trei, I don't know if you took a glimpse at Lins or knew about him on the come up, or maybe seen him now. But if you've seen him play, what are your thoughts on a European player coming in and making a name for himself?
Listen, that we're a dying breed. I'm gonna be real. We're a dying breed. We could only do it for so long. Me and Ben, passing over the torch and whatever like that, the flames. We could only do it for so long. It's nice to see, especially a French player get a shot. I believe they're trying to like make the new Hydra, and I do believe he is very, very good. Is he on Hydra's level? I don't know, because the team, I feel like there is a big team difference there, But ever since I watched him play at that major, and I don't really know much about him apart from, he got the shot he deserved, and a team took a chance on him, and that's all you just need, And right now, looking at that player card and how he performed on LAN, especially with Lamar looking over him and teaching him how to be as a professional. That's one thing I'll always vouch for Lamar. He is he's very good in that aspect. He teaches you how to act as a professional, as it's your job, not just as some jumped up kid that's getting paid some money to shoot people in a video game. Like he does truly turn you into a professional.
Yeah. Overall, I love that they placed top 4 on LAN, knocked New York down, had a very close series against LAG, and I want to give the big highlight and big spotlight to Big Wake, who performed, who a lot of people were actually normally for the last couple of seasons, everyone's been saying drop Lamar, drop accuracy. It's been like kind of the narrative, but it got turned around because Wake was performing a little poorly online, and the narrative was actually turning away from Lamar, and it was on Wake's back for the first time pretty much in his career. People saying that he wasn't fit anymore, but then he comes to LAN and starts performing, and all of a sudden he's shooting back and putting up some numbers. Didn't have an amazing closing series, against what was it, against Toronto? Yeah, against Toronto. Didn't have an amazing series there, but overall, I mean, Toronto was destroying everybody, so you can't really fault anyone there. I like their showing. I think they're growing into their own. It was a very odd team on paper, but you got to give this maybe another major or two, maybe the whole season, just to see how they develop, because it's exciting to see them go from literally 0-3, worst team in the league.
I know. I was like having a field day roasting you every week, but then they actually got good. I mean, okay, they're not got good, but they're definitely better. I guess my question is, Vivid is just so, you just know what you're going to get with Vivid. He's such a unique player. Like, you look at his numbers and it's just exactly what you expect it to be, especially in the respawns, just insane engagements. And there's questions about that. I just think Awakening, right? He was super underwhelming online. He was better on LAN, significantly better, until the very final series they played, where he got slammed in the respawns. So I think that's still the question that I have, because I mean, how often does Wake have a 73 card? Like, usually we see him in the 80s or the 90s.
Yeah.
True. And if he was in the 80s or the 90s, I feel like this team, I don't know if they'd have placed better than top 4, let's be honest, because the teams above them were clear, but they would have a better shot. Because I think right now, especially all the teams making changes, we'll discuss a little bit later on, really they're just trying to be the 4th best team, because Subliners are, in a questionable spot. OpTic are beatable. FaZe and Toronto are clear. So it's like, your first port of call is make Sunday. That's the intention. And Rokkr made Sunday, and fair enough. I think the other teams are now going to try and... That's the first step, right? If you're a team making a change right now, your first thought is, let me make Sunday. Then we can go from there. That's what I'd be trying to do anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I think they bottled... you're taking some UK slang from you guys. I think they bottled the match against OpTic. Bottled the thing against OpTic, the match. I think they...
They bottled it, did they?
Bro, the S&Ds were crazy. I mean, the S&Ds, they lost 2v4s or 4v2s.
The S&D was a bit shocking, to be fair.
Yes, there was a lot of advantages that they just threw away.
But OpTic bottled that control. There's no way. I don't buy they bottled that series. OpTic was better.
Here we go.
OpTic should never have lost that control, though.
No, that control was a Lamar accuracy of Betty classic moment against OpTic. That's what that was. It was literally.
I will give you that.
It was graced right there. But speaking on OpTic, let's jump over to their player cards too. They had a really interesting tournament. And I know I definitely have my critiques, and it's been proven week after week. I've been roasted, but slowly the community is coming around to kind of the narrative that I'm putting out there, and it's becoming true. So let's take a look at their player cards and just react a little bit to what we see.
I can fire off first. I'll give some positive energy, and then I'll let you boys take the floor and say whatever you want to say. My feeling is on this OpTic team, I was actually really impressed with them this tournament on the whole. I did have my concerns coming in after the difficult week they had, and I still do have some concerns as to whether the problems that I feel about their culture behind the scenes and whether they're really as committed to winning as teams like Toronto seem to be. I think Toronto really taught a lot of teams a lesson, what sort of team composition and also what sort of behind the scenes mentality is required to win. And I still have my concerns about that from OpTic, but I definitely think the reaction to this tournament has been somewhat overblown. Their control is very similar to Ultra's control. Ultra 7-4 in control this stage, OpTic is 7-5. Sure, Ultra and the respawns are 15-1 in the hardpoints, and OpTic are 14-6, which is more, respectable. But that's very good. I know there's lots to talk about playstyles. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
Mainly it's been the search and destroy that's been the weakness, right? Like, if you put that search and destroy to 50-50, it looks a bit different, and arguably they would have beaten FaZe in at least one of those series if their search and destroy was better. So I think they're closer than it was kind of made out to be. People did the post-events tier list and they said, all right, Ultra's clear in S tier, FaZe is clear in A tier, OpTic is clear in B tier, which is probably true, but I think that it's closer between them and FaZe than was potentially made out to be, just because the search and destroys were so dominant in FaZe's favor that the series were close, but they didn't end feeling like a nail biter. And I guess Kenny has some things to figure out there, because we know that historically he's not exactly been a dominant search and destroy force. Neither has that Los Angeles Thieves team. But as soon as those Thieves guys of previous seasons got their S&D together, bang, they were like the best team in the game. But that's what they struggled with all year, was the search and destroy. But eventually they got it right, and these guys should get it right. So I have a more optimistic take on this team than I think I would have expected to going into the major.
Okay. Trey, would you like to go, or would you like me to start cooking right now?
I mean, I was gonna cook too. I can't lie.
All right, Trey, go ahead. We need a Trey cook session right now for the first time on Dope Check. Go ahead, Trey.
All right. So first of all right, let me commend Dashy. All right. For starters, last year he had a very it was very weird. You saw Dashy get dropped, and everyone said like he was the issue and everything like that. After he came back to the team, he changed his ways, everything like that. I don't know what was going down, but obviously he got dropped for a reason. And he's come back in there, and everyone's still roasting him. He's not playing right, but then when they win, he's playing when they win, he's all good. When he's good. When he loses, he's bad, and it's always him. Really and truthfully, you look at those cards, you see Shotzi like that, and I know Shotzi's the playmaker, everything like that, but he doesn't always have to be the playmaker. I do feel like he is too flashy for his own good. You see all this talk about him being the movement, king or stuff like that of the CDL. He doesn't need to do all this fancy stuff. And I see it in games too. And I tell my stream, I tell other people, he doesn't need to be this guy that makes the play 24/7 or anything like that. The same way we speak about Hydra Ace. He doesn't have to always, go make a flank or something like that. I feel like if he slowed down his game and chilled out and worked more with the team, I do feel like there'd be, a more of a team than they actually are right now. And that's just my take on it. I'm not roasting him. I just feel like that's the way, COD is these days. It's very team based. And when you got someone that's like, trying to make the play 24/7, it's not going to work out in the best ways. So, congratulations to them on the 3rd place. I just feel like what Rab said is true. They Ultra's above everyone, and FaZe is above them, and they're just lacking in 3rd. And I do believe it is teamwork based why that is the case.
So
here we go.
Talking OpTic here. First, the positives, right? Pred is the best player, I think, in MW3 right now. And if you're not going to give him that, wait, if you're not going to give him that, you're going to give him, he's top 2 subs or flag. I mean, he's kind of playing both right now. I'll just say top 3 players.
Bro's backtracking.
No, listen. You have to consider his arsenal, who he's playing with, and even they're losing in S&D, he continues to remain positive in S&D. So you have to consider what they're working with and working against, right? If your Toronto team, Kleenex is gonna be cooking up everybody because he has Scraps shooting everyone in the face. Like it's.
But listen, I'm gonna cut you off there. You cannot be the best player in the game if you are not on the best team in the game.
Wait. No. This is
no.
cheese.
I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying
it. Listen, and I'm not dissing Pred or anything like that. By far one of the greatest subs in the game right now. But Kleenex is the best player in the game right now.
Just to argue that point specifically, that one, and I will say this. LeBron James, when he was on the Cavaliers and they weren't winning chips, he was the best player in the NBA. So it's not even like a conversation to be had.
So are you taking Pred or Kleenex?
For what? For my team?
Yeah.
Pred. 100%.
Faded.
I think
delusional.
Faded.
I think Kleenex in his system with his ARs can play really well, and I think he would be good on any team. Let me not say I think Kleenex is bad. No, that's ridiculous take. I think Pred is the best player and Kleenex is right below him. I think they're neck and neck for the best player in this game. Now, let me continue. Let me cook, Trey. Damn, man. Let me cook, okay? Kenny is as great as everyone wants him to be. Kenny is their truth. He kept him in the series. He had that 3-piece, obviously in the P1 on what was it, Invasion, to keep them in. So Kenny performing absolutely like he should. Love Kenny. Dashy, everybody needs to hop off Dashy. Hey, I'm gonna look at the camera when I say this. Everybody hop off Dashy's dick, okay? The kid is cooking. He's been good for years. His gun skill is still immaculate. He's still getting those kills that make you drop your mouth. Like, you're like, holy shit, how did he get that? The kid's good, man. And he's playing his role the best he can. Now with the, another AR like Kenny, and also in a game with an AR meta, he's adapting really well. And again, like we spoke about before, the old men in this game, the slashers, the attaches, all these guys are performing well because this game is a lot more rotation heavy, and Dashy's actually one of the younger guys who's adapting to it. So give him credit for what he's doing right. Now, let's talk about who's doing shit wrong. This guy TikToksy, okay? This guy TikToksy, every goddamn map wants to hop out of a window, slide cancel 15 times and think he's gonna make a play. Brother, just sit on a heady and beam him. You're one of the best players to pick up Call of Duty sticks. Your gun skill's immaculate. Nobody's ever questioning that. But for some reason, you're thinking you're playing jetpacks still. Brother, we're on the ground. We're in a rotation game. The same problem with Hydro, like we spoke about before, is with Shotzzy again. Like Trey said, it's the same issue. I consistently see them in good setups, or I see them in the possibility of getting some trades, or like maybe it's a 2v3. They can still break the hill or still make a play happen. And then Shotzzy will get blooded for free, or try to make a intense play. Like, oh, if I get behind this guy, I might be able to get 2, and then I might get the third freebie. He takes the 10% instead of the 90% play. And the greatest example of this, again, is that one that was talked about, the Palace play, right? Did everyone remember that? The Palace play where he tried to sneak behind, get to the hill, and he gets shot from Celium instead of getting the free kill on Celium and then challenging the hill. That's the perfect example summarized into one moment of the kind of plays he's trying to make, right? You have the Kremp coming out saying it's the wrong play. You got you got all the legends coming out saying it's the wrong play. I'm not a legend, but I can tell you not getting the free kill is a bad play, baby. So the number one key factor, X factor for this team, for them to beat FaZe and get in that 2 spot, and I think they have a chance to beat Toronto and actually be the hardest challenge to Toronto, because they are the perfect match in terms of gun skill and everything else too, is Shotzzy getting more disciplined, holding his spots, holding his irons, and making the best decision in the game at that moment instead of just taking the high risk, high reward play. In that case,
I have a question for Trey on this, huh?
Go ahead.
I'm interested to know Trey's thoughts on this. Was Shotzzy a different player when he played with Krim and Clay on Sundays? As in, were they able to discipline him more? Because I actually agree with what you're saying in parties. I think we're going to go all the way, but I think that you're right to some extent. Or was that a product of 5v5? Because there's some discussion on whether some players work really well in 5v5, and when it's maybe possible to have a player go a bit more rogue, and then 4v4, that punishes you more. So I don't know if it's that, and actually Shotzzy was more disciplined when he played with Krim, which I kind of inclined to believe that he was, or whether it's kind of like a... Because to be fair, I played with Krim in Cold War, and that was 4v4. So...
I mean, I truly believe it's like the same argument when you compare, like, football players, like who's the best football player in the world, and they play different positions. I compare that to this. I compare that to games. You're dealing with MW that was a 5v5, squad spawn meta, where if you saw one, you knew the other 4 were spawning with him. To the point now where it's, and in that moment in time when you saw one person there, you knew 4 were going to be there, so you knew what play you could make any day of the week. Whereas now we're dealing with what we reiterated with Hydra jumping out of windows, and it can mess up a spawn because you go 1 millimeter past a certain point. Like I do believe Ace is right. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as say he's TikToksy. I didn't say that. All right. And so don't roast me. All right. I'm just letting you know. I just think I truly believe that he needs someone like that. Team isn't got a Krim or a Clay. I feel like they're all a bunch of like happy young people, whereas Krim and Clay, you knew what you were getting. You messed up, you got yelled at. you made a mistake in front of Crim's eyes. Like you knew about it. You know what I'm saying? So I do believe like that is another factor in terms of it, especially with. I mean, he even played with you know, he played with Seth, and I feel like, you know, Seth's a big kid, in terms of that aspect. So, you know, Seth would let him do his thing as well. I just truly believe that he just needs to chill out. And I do agree with Ace, like, stop running around, stop trying to do all these fancy things. The fancy things will come to you. Like, that's how it's going to be. With this COD in particular, you just need to relax, work together, break kills together. Like, and if you have to make a play, you have to make a play, but it doesn't have to be like, you know, 9 times out of 10. It should be like 3 times out of 10. So that's what I truly believe, like, is like their issue in terms of that.
I saw a stat too. I think Bunny Hill put it up, or one of these guys. But OpTic's on their longest dry spell in history for winning a chip. I think it's like 12 majors or something it's been, and they haven't won since like, what was it, Vanguard or something?
Major one Vanguard.
Major one Vanguard. So it's been a while, and yeah, that point of the leadership, I'm gonna push back on that slightly, only to say that I do think Kenny, when he wants to be intense, he's a fun guy. Kenny's enjoyable, but Kenny does come from the hard knock type of teams that, you know, with the slashers, the Lamars, where the discipline factor and speaking up about the problems is done. So I would say it is tough when you have 3 guys who are more like free flow, and you only have 1 guy who's more of maybe can switch on that mode of being a hard ass. But I do believe that, you know, getting third and similar how I said, you know, to a different extreme of like Subliners getting top 12, but OpTic getting third, and I think kind of fully realizing how far behind they are on Toronto, and then even a bit of FaZe. That's a motivation to lock it in. That's a motivation to hunker down. That's a motivation to kind of reset, get more disciplined, and take the game a bit more seriously. Because the first major and leading up to the first major, a lot of people are just having fun, learning the game, and just getting situated in the new COD. So I think going forward from them, we see a lot more discipline. And OpTic is a team that responds to criticism quite well. So I kind of expect in this next online qualifier and major to see Dashy dropping a 1.2, 1.3. Not even kidding. So, but yeah, jumping
I guess we do FaZe then, huh?
Yeah, jumping ahead. Let's get over to, or do you want to watch? I actually want to watch this clip of Aches talking about the Dashy and Shotzzy playstyle. So let's watch that really quick, and then
we can throw that up real quick. Yeah.
Dope Check does not endorse this opinion, by the way. Here we go.
Mindset, though, he has to change his playstyle some to accommodate the teammates that he has, especially when Dashy's playing this way. I personally hate the way Dashy's playing on this squad right now. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think Dashy.
Slow, like,
I hate this. Nah, yeah,
he's playing.
That's how you play. But
first off, that's how OpTic plays.
Dashy has far, Dashy has far too much talent to play the way that he's currently playing on this squad.
Dashy used to be the damage dealer.
Yeah, but I think pacing. I think if Dashy paced up and Shotzzy paced down, this squad would be way better.
I 100%
way better.
I agree with that.
You got Shotzzy running around like a maniac, over-challing when Pred doesn't play that way, and you got Dashy playing super slow, just being a hill bitch when he's probably got the best shot on the team.
Yeah, he's too talented to be playing like that.
Pat,
yeah, but half the time it's over.
I wouldn't go as far to call him a hill bitch, but I would definitely go as far to say changing the pacing would be good, and having Shotzzy be more of an entry sub would benefit them all the way around. So,
bro, the Dashy that I played, bro, it was night and day to what you watched today. It was.
Because Black Ops 4 Dashy was like, I mean, maybe you'd think a different game to Black Ops 4, but I think Black Ops 4 Dashy was just untouchable.
So I know I compared, like, you know, different games to different games in terms of, but Shotzi's playing the same way on a different game. Dashy's not playing the same way, and you need Dashy to play the same way.
You finally get a game where he needs to play that style of like rogue agent with an AR. It's an AR meta too. He needs to run around and shoot everybody.
But you know, we're not in a game when we're comparing the two with Shotzzy and Dashy. Shotzi's making plays that he doesn't need to make, and Dashy's making nothing in terms of, you know, and Dashy's not, I'm not saying Dashy's going to be the guy to, you know, jump out the map 360, hop up and break a hill. What the plays that Dashy needs to make are be in your face, like take the chows. I feel like he's been refined to this, sit in the hill turret AR when, he's never been like that. He's been the guy that you're pissed off at because he just keeps killing you over and over and over again because he's fast at knowing where he needs to shoot you. And he has, I've always said that he's probably got the best gun skill that COD has ever seen.
So when you played him in Vanguard, for example, because it was unreal at that game as well, like, that's the style that you'd want him to adopt if you were coaching OpTic?
I just want him to, I just want to, I want to feel like Dashy shooting you again, because when you felt that back in the day, it hit you hard. I compare it to like the way that Octane and Slasher, when they got set up, it was they were unkillable. It was unbreakable. I've always said Octane's the hardest AR that I've ever had to play against. In terms of like how smart he is and how he moves on the map and how he's always in your face, because he has the gun skill like that too. But Dashy's just got the best gun skill I've ever seen in COD, and he's not using it. He lets people come to him in terms of, he's just aiming down a lane, which, that is this game. But it's like I'm saying to Ace now, it's like if he gets a bit, aggressive more, he can take more gunfights to people that ain't going to outgun him.
Yeah.
And, that's what we need to see.
Yeah.
And I do agree with Aches as well. Like Dashy speeds up, takes the gunfights he knows he can win, and shots he slows down and stops with all the fancy stuff and works together with Pred, and because Pred's a slow SMG.
Yeah.
Pred's not in your face 24/7. He's very methodical. I compare Pred to Simp in that way. Simp's not the fastest guy on the planet. He's just the smartest guy. And he will take every fight. And you'll never catch Simp sprinting the same way you'll never catch Pred sprinting. So I feel like I don't agree with Aches often, but this one I 100,000,000% agree with him on.
Man, Dash, you gotta watch some scrap VOD right now and start hitting like
That's
that.
what I'm saying, but I mean, we're going to talk about scrap in a second here, but
yeah, let's hop over to FaZe. I think
that is the team to mold yourself on right now. If you want to mold yourself on the team, but we can do FaZe first.
Jumping over to the FaZe cards. Any shockers or reactions to these cards? I mean, they're obviously looking very good.
This is what they do, bro. Like, look at Salia, man. I mean, what could you even say anymore? I think, to be honest, I don't think anyone was beating Toronto this event. It didn't matter what OpTic were doing this event. It didn't matter what FaZe were doing this event. No one was getting close to Toronto. They were just too good. So Simp did have a 99 ridiculous stage, and he's going to keep doing that.
It was
the thing is on this FaZe team. Go on, Trey, and then I'll.
I was just gonna say that kid, for doing it, how long he's been doing it, and he's still young, and he came into the scene and just absolutely world starred everyone, and he's still doing it with no issues, like anything like that. It's the plays he makes, the kills he gets. I still think he is the best player in the world. Like I do, overall. I think stage to stage, like Ace says, like about Pred and stuff like that. I still think overall Simp just takes it for me, like the way he just goes around the map. It's honestly very special, and no one really looks at it the way that like they should look at it. They just see him as like this 99 rated player card that just gets all these kills, but you need to see how he gets these kills. He
is one of the most incredible POVs to watch. I think there's never been a player that I've watched. I remember when Black Ops 3, really, when I first watched Simp, the jetpack or whatever used to go back then. And he was like 15 or 16 or something at the time. And I'd never seen anyone play like this. Like, it was actually, I was watching a different game. And back then he was using the M8. I was like, how the fuck is this kid making all the right decisions, hitting every single shot? Like, I'd watched the pros a lot, and I'd never really heard of this Simp guy because he was just an S&D star, obviously, at 16. But I'd never seen anyone play like that. And I mean, you played against him when he first came into the game, Black Ops 4. It's like
my first ever tweet to him was, "Don't think you're coming into my league." And like, it was a joke, of course. I was like, "Don't think you're coming into my league and showing me up, yeah." And listen, and that tweet's deleted because it had to. Not because I don't want it up there. I just had to delete a bunch of tweets due to the past Trei. All right, professional Trei had to come out.
Maybe it's an attack run video a few years ago.
But I tweeted him one day. I was on a flight and I tweeted him, and I was like, "Don't think you're like jumped up kid gonna come into my league and start pushing everyone around." And listen, he is by far just world star to everyone. I cannot believe how good this kid is.
Overall, man.
But still second, baby.
Yeah, no, I think Simp is obviously one of the best players to ever touch Call of Duty. it's so crazy because like Cellium had the best KD of if it was more than 2 series played, he had the best KD overall. The team as a whole is just built for success. They have every piece to make it happen, to win every tournament, to get first or second. They're continuing the pace they've been on for multiple years. And again, another second sucks for them personally because you didn't get the gold, you got the silver. But overall, if you're looking at it from a fan perspective, community perspective, or just general perspective, the fact that they've done it for so many years and so well and consistently, and Sim, Cellium, now Drazah and aBeZy are just dominating at this whole stage, really makes me excited to see how this major 2 qualifiers and major 2 kind of sets up for them, considering the new patch. I think it opens it up. It actually opens up a bit more for Simp, Cellium, and Drazah on the ARs to actually shoot a bit more. So I think for me, this FaZe team is what can we say about them that hasn't been said? They're great. They're just great overall.
I'll say something about them.
Go ahead.
I'll give a take on them.
Oh god.
All right, here's a stat. Yeah, they've been top 3 for the last 10 tournaments in a row. 10 tournaments of top 3. How many of them have they won? 2? It's 1.
Oh.
1 out of 10. That's their return on top 3 placing. FaZe are the best Noob Slayers we have ever seen in COD. When they play a team they're worse than, they beat them, no questions asked. They will always win winners round 1. They will always beat any team they're meant to beat in the losers bracket. That's how it works. But there's clearly a weakness on this team. Like, you can't tell me it's a coincidence that they've won 1 of 10 top 3 placings. They're a phenomenal team. Like, I don't mean to trash them because the players are unbelievable, but they should have had way more success than they've had. My feeling is it's comms. I think that's what it comes down to, because if you look at all the attributes of this team compared to other top teams, they probably have the weakest comms of all the top teams. I think, at least. Toronto, I mean, what can I say about Toronto's comms? I've listened to a whole map of them speak, and it's just absolutely sensational. Thieves in previous years had also great comms. OpTic with Kenny, I think, have very solid comms. New York, I think, have decent comms. And maybe there's questions on that. But when you listen to FaZe, go to listen him in an important final, it's just a weakness. I think it's a weakness. The comms aren't as crisp. The small talk isn't always there. You can't understand what Cellium's saying. And maybe they do. But I'm just trying to discover a weakness for this team. And there isn't one anywhere apart from in that regard. Or if you want to say they just don't really have the dog in them when it comes down to a Sunday. Or you want to say that they just keep running into teams that are just on fire. Like, there's multiple explanations to why they keep coming second. But, like, that's the only good explanation that I can come up with, is that when push comes to shove on a championship Sunday, they just have weaknesses compared to the other top teams.
I think the best thing you can say about them is they're the most consistent team.
For sure.
I think that's the best thing you can say about them. 10
like second.
I mean, listen, they should win a lot more, and that stat is actually quite. You always think FaZe are winning, you always think they're doing that, but they obviously don't win as much as we think they do. But they are always second. I couldn't tell you honestly. It could be comms, it could just be like this event here. Toronto is just on fire, like they just couldn't be stopped. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how the year progresses. I feel like, if they don't win as much as they have been, or like if they just keep coming second, then something might have to change, a bit higher, with the other players, maybe iLLeY wasn't the issue, or Slasher wasn't the issue, and it was something else. And I'm not saying that is the issue, Ace, before you roast me. I'm just saying
like hot take.
No, I'm not. No. I'm not saying that's a hot take or anything like that. I'm just saying, they've got to start winning, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Before we start, would you say, Rab, like 1 in 10?
Yeah. So I mean, like, the record of top 3 placings all time is Complexity. They made 15 top 3s in a row. Of those tournaments, they won, I want to say 11 or 12. So that's the kind, that's what they were doing back in the day. And maybe today the competition's harder, whatever you say. Even though I'm not so sure that argument carries too much water. But 10% return on top 3 placings is not ideal, is it?
I just want to jump quickly back to the cards before we hop over to Toronto, because that's a good conversation as well. But the one criticism besides comms that I think we can add here is that their hard points 11-8. So for a good respawn team, 11-8, almost break evens, and you're like you won the most online and all that stuff. 11-8 is not a great hard point record, to be honest. Where the factor why I think they're struggling sometimes, to me, if I have to point one out, this is kind of like a forced take in a way, but aBeZy sometimes, similarly to Shotzzy, not kind of the opposite of a superstar play. I think there's times he throws his life away a little too quickly, or he'll just try to chow something a little too fast. So it's not him necessarily making a superstar or trying to make like a 10% play. I think it's more just throwing his life away in moments he doesn't need to necessarily. And we've seen them in I mentioned earlier, a lot of first hard points against teams starting out slow and taking a back seat and taking like making it a close knit game versus the noobs, apparently, according to Rab. Damn, son. They aren't noob slaying the first map sometimes. So Drazah has the dog. I'm not gonna, that dog argument I don't like. Celium's not dropping a 1.4 or 1.3 or whatever he did in a whole tournament if he doesn't have a dog in him. I disagree with the dog argument completely. Drazah clearly
the dog
is a dog.
argument.
I don't like that one. It's cheese to me.
It's a funny thing to say.
But Drazah, I think, has a dog. He's clearly a grinder. He's there. He's killing it. So my only thing of gameplay-wise, maybe the comms and maybe aBeZy throwing his life away. He could just be a little more pragmatic with how he chows. He needs more Shotzzy finesse, and Shotzzy needs more aBeZy entry. There we go. That's the last thing I need to say about them to balance out. But
this guy's cooked.
We have now the champs. Let's jump over to the Toronto cards, because these
are some of the best cards I've ever seen in my life for a winning team.
Immaculate, brother.
It doesn't get any better than this.
A lot of EU guys on here, so I'm gonna let you guys take the board for half of this. So who do you guys want to talk about? Who do you guys want to praise here? Because there's a lot of praise to be given to this team.
They weren't doing it when I was in the league. Yeah. They weren't doing it when I was in the league. No, I'm joking. It's actually very impressive, like being me, seeing Insight do as well as he has. I was on FaZe when he was on Singularity, and you're seeing him just go from that to where he's at now is actually very, very. Don't tell anyone you can't do it, like inspirational type stuff. He's out here getting seconds at champs, winning events, and putting on dominant performances like he does it for a living, Same with Kleenex. Like I said, I truly believe he is the best player in the game, not just based on his performances, just based on how he opens up the map for every single one of these players. You said they could, they said there's always an upgrade. There is the upgrade on Envoy, for Hixie. I do believe that, he shouldn't have got dropped, or he should be in the league. They felt like they could have upgraded, and they did. Envoy is by far, I think, the best second sub or helper on that team. I feel like he would make any team better right now in the league. Even FaZe, you look at Shot, Simp, and aBeZy. I do think Envoy makes that team better too. And then you got Scrap. I mean, there's a guy that talks a lot of smack, a lot of shit, and he is the only one I've actually seen back it up to as much as he does. So I have nothing but, you call it glazing, but that is the most typical squad I think I've seen, and performance-wise, I've seen at an event in so long.
That's what I'm saying, Trey. Like, how the hell do you improve this team?
You don't.
I genuinely don't know. Like, in any regard. Players-wise, there's no upgrades. Chemistry, mentality, even energy. This is another thing that I find. I think that Scrap brings... I love what Scrap brings to this team, because they're so mellow and they're so collected in their comms. But then Scrap will pop a 3-piece and he'll pop off, And that just adds another element. Like, they're not too calm. It's just so perfect. I think they've really set the standard. I've said it before as well. I don't know if you agree, Trey. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that level of COD happen at the start of a season. Like, I think we see this level of COD at Champ sometimes, but I don't know if I've ever seen COD played that well at the first event. It usually doesn't happen.
I've never seen a team this perfect at a first event. Like,
that's the scary thing.
And dominant in terms of no one could even come near him. And we're talking
no hard points lost, no S&Ds lost.
We're talking FaZe, like, you know, deemed like one of the best teams on the planet, and they couldn't even come close.
Here you go. Scrap. You know, we talk about the argument of the best player in the game. And, like, you know, we talk about Kremp is the best Call of Duty player, and then there's the greatest. We have that argument a lot with Scump and Kremp, right? CleanX, Pred, we could all disagree on that of who's the best player, right? Scrap is the greatest Call of Duty player right now. He is decisive.
It's terminologies, bro.
Wait.
Go on.
He makes you love or hate him. He's the damage dealer across all modes. He's unkillable. He's putting up numbers on every map. He's a yapper, right? He's a good yapper. He's starting to stream out here and do his thing there.
Oh, the YouTube channel?
Yeah, he's starting to take that more serious. I think Scrap, if I was the commissioner, right? If I was the commish, I'd be building this kid to be the face of the league. This kid is the difference maker of all of this. I'm telling you that, and I'll give him that. There hasn't been a player as exciting, in my opinion, since like a Scump. This kid is talking the crazy, backing it up, and doing it in style. And he's winning majors. I mean, I don't know what else to say about him. I give high praise to Scrap. CleanX and Inside as well. Amazing players. CleanX had the best hardpoint KD in a map. You know, he dropped that out of LAN. You know, this team is ridiculous.
That was absurd, by the way.
Yeah, it was we thought he was going to continue that the whole series. He could have had the best. He almost had the best KD in an entire series of all time if he just didn't kind of mess up the control. But like beyond that, Envoy is the perfect glue to this team. I do agree actually with Trei's kind of hot take that if you took Envoy and threw him on FaZe or even on OpTic, they would get better because he's that kind of glue player. Yeah, man, Toronto looked unstoppable. They do look unstoppable still. Like nothing's changed even with a couple new rotations or a couple new in the new patch. Clean up your control. Watch some VOD on some of these other teams and how they won. They beat you in control and won their controls, and then you're unstoppable, right? No one's beating you in hardpoint. S&D, you guys are, you know, the maps, S&D isn't changing in this game necessarily. So just fix your control and you're an unstoppable team, even more unstoppable than you are now. So high praise to Toronto. I have literally nothing but positive sentiment for all of them across the board.
I mean, let's show some love to the coaches too. You know, one of EU's greatest nitty-gritty players of all time, Joe Pennington. You know, even when I teamed with him, it was he was pretty much a player coach. You know, so you know, shout out to him. And then you got Ryan. He is there, like analysis, runs the numbers, and helps out with a lot of stuff over there. So, you know, I feel like it's just a very, very well-rounded team. I think the organization, you know, they've had some stick in the past, but I think it's just a very business-oriented, like we have to win. We want to be the greatest. And like A said, you know, so I think Scrap is the most entertaining player we've had in the league since the league has started.
Yeah.
Funny how it works, right? Because like you get these older guys retiring, Scump steps away, Kremp steps away, and it's like, oh shit, like who am I going to put on the thumbnails, right? But it's how it goes in all the different. It's how it goes in every sport. I think that you end up getting some generation goes out, and all of a sudden, kind of out of nowhere, you get some sort of rookie player just comes into the scene. Scrap's been that man. I genuinely think Scrappy might be one of the most underrated players right now, which is remarkable to say. But I think CleanX and Insight on that Toronto team have typically been in that category. But this season, they're getting a lot of love, and for good reason. But the level that Scrap plays at is completely unprecedented. The numbers that he drops, the impact that he drops, is just ridiculous. No other AR can do it. When you look at Celium's numbers, Scrap has similar KDs, but way more impact. Plays so much faster. It's just absurd. I don't think anyone else can do it. Maybe Dashy could do it if he played in a different role. There's very few, if you play in a different way, there's very few other players that are talented enough to do what Scrappy does right now.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. I don't know about underrated, because I feel like he's rated by literally everyone. He's just not spoke about enough. You know, I feel like everyone rates him to be the best player in the game or like top 3, but you don't hear anyone say it.
That's why I'm screaming it from the mountaintops, baby. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's the greatest player in the league. Everybody, build around this kid.
As soon as you hear the name Scrap Rab, you're like, oh yeah, like I forgot. Like Jesus Christ, yeah, he's unreal. And then because it's you always hear selling the argument, don't you? So is the best AR in the game or flex in the game, and then you get that yapper on there, and there you go. Like he just by far like takes over the conversation.
He's an absolute bird, but he can beam everyone. So I got to give that to him. Last team, and I think here's where we kind of start going into those, bottom half of the LAN, the major one, and also start diving in a little bit into those Rostermania changes, which have been insane. I've definitely got my backlash from some of my takes on this. So I'm excited to kind of dive into this. Let's talk about Miami first, because they were probably the biggest upset. I mean, I don't know, biggest, most disappointing, right? Most disappointing showing of
New York, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know, arguable, right? I guess New York had a lot more expectation because the world champs, but to some, Miami looked really good online, and they look like they're performing. But Trei,
massive letdown.
Yeah,
massive letdown.
Huge letdown for me. I thought they were going to come in and actually get top 4. Rab heard me obviously say in the previous episodes of Dope Check, I expected them to finally break their LAN curse, not get nervous, and perform. But looking at the player cards, you have a pretty consistent across, and then you have JurNii with a 66, one of the worst player cards across the board.
I mean, the cards are a little bit cheese. Like, I want to give him some benefit of the doubt, but yeah,
they are cheese.
It ain't pretty.
But he genuinely did not play well. You look at Damage Dell in the S&Ds and the controls, didn't play that well. I kind of want to take this over to Trei, because Trei does obviously know about Team Heretics' long-standing history in Europe. But these guys together have been playing for a long time. Maybe not Vickle in the mix, but the Metals, Lucky, JurNii, these guys. So Trei, I mean, what was your reaction to seeing the EU representation kind of thrown out so fast?
I mean, let me just start off by saying I am the greatest predictor COD has ever seen. All right, let me get that straight. All right, if you bet on any of my bets that I made at the weekend, let me just tell you, you'd be a millionaire. All right, let me just start with that. And I predicted these guys, they're either going to get second or dead last. No in between. And I mean this by the fact, Spanish COD. And you guys are probably like, oh, what do you mean by Spanish COD? It is the most head bash, most inconsistent way of playing COD I've ever seen in my life. And it's just sprint, hope. It's 40 bombs for all 40 deaths. There's no in between. It's been that way since I played him in World War II. And I still see it right now when I watch CDL matches and stuff like that. You look at JurNii, it's just run. And I do feel bad that he's been dropped. Or supposed. Has it been announced?
I don't think it's official.
I think the rumors are all there though, right? Because he's on the challenger team. JurNii's on the challenger team.
I mean,
now,
it's a done deal.
We can run with the rumors.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. So like I said, I do feel sorry for him that he has been dropped at the one event, but it's very Spanish COD. It's very run. If we win the gunfights, we 250, 100 them. If we don't, we get smoked. And that's just how it was. There's not a single thing about. I don't feel like that it's a consistent way of playing. I think it's a very consistent way online of playing. But when you get to LAN, LAN's a different ball game. No one understands this. Like that hasn't been to LAN and competed. It's a completely different ball game. Teams iron up more. Teams play slower more. So you're just going to keep running and dying. That's all I have to say about it. There's no hot takes there or anything like that. It was just pure. Go back to the drawing board and actually slow down and stop running headlessly into gunfights.
I was going to roast JurNii especially, but I looked up some numbers in Black Ops 4, and actually, they all kind of got slammed on LAN, I'm not going to lie. It wasn't even, because JurNii, he was pretty good for them online in this stint. Goes to LAN and gets giga slammed both series at 0.7. But to be honest, if you're losing to Vegas, they didn't win a map this tournament, did they? I think they got 0-6, right? Maybe they won a map against Vegas. No, they didn't, right? They got 0-3 by Vegas.
I think they lost.
With Purge dropping a 0.4. Like, that should be impossible. But somehow they lost it. I don't understand. But it's the same story. You look back to Black Ops 4, like, they all just... It's not like JurNii was especially bad online or bad on LAN compared to online. It's just, like, the whole team just struggled more when they got to LAN.
Let me add one thing here to this, Paris, because you're right. They didn't win a map on LAN. But you know how we all noted Purge got a 0.46? Funny enough, JurNii had a 0.57, but it was only overlooked because Purge was playing so dog shit.
That is true, actually.
So it's kind of insane, to be honest. Like, I will say I'm not so upset at JurNii being benched, only because, you know, EriKBooM has been there. He's on the bench. I would feel good if I was JurNii in a way. Not good, but like more positive, because they didn't go out and get some random new player. It was the kid that y'all kind of knew was going to be swapped in and swapped out. There's a chance JurNii comes back if EriKBooM doesn't perform as well. It's almost best case scenario for getting benched. If you're going to get benched, it's not a brand new shout. He's just getting benched and the sub is coming in. So I'm not too upset about it. They did not perform well on LAN. My opinion, this is my personal opinion, they might just be getting nervous. They might be kind of, you don't have many LAN events in the EU, right? You have some, but not many. They have been competing for a long time. I've seen them. I've personally been their photographer and worked with Team Heretics, like professionally, back in like Black Ops 4. So many, World War II, Black Ops 4, many years ago. So these guys do have LAN experience, but main stage is very different from open bracket play. If I was on main stage, I'd be shitting bricks. And mind you, I was shitting bricks in the open bracket too. So like, I can't imagine. So I'm gonna say that they probably just breakers on LAN, and firmly agree with Trei's take that Spanish COD and even some Challengers EU COD is it isn't refined enough. It's very much so, yeah, just run at the hill, and the inconsistency is that if we win our gunfights, we break the hill. If we don't win our gunfights, we're losing this hill and we might lose the game and we might get chained. But we're gonna see what happens. So online, that can work pretty well, right? They can just be more amped up that day, more ready to go and beat you in gunfights. But on LAN, that's not working. Everyone's amped up, everyone's juiced and ready to be on the main stage. Jeez. That play style is not gonna pan out for you. And they're my biggest question mark overall for any team going into this Major 2 qualifiers and into the Major 2 in Miami itself. I think they have the most unknown what's going to happen with them going ahead. Yeah. No counters to that take?
Trei?
Yeah, no counters to that take?
No counters whatsoever. Like
I guess my question is, you think Erik helps them? Because
it's another Spanish player, bro. It's just going to be It's nothing to do with the single player change or anything like that. It's just Spanish COD, and I promise you, it's going to keep happening until they sit down and think this ain't working.
Yeah,
you know, it's not even a hot take. I played against these same players. I played against these same players for years, bro. It's the same stuff. We even used to scrim on World War II, and we used to end the games for some of the stuff they were doing. Because it wasn't good. It wasn't what we're gonna play at the events.
Good to practice against, yeah.
Because you knew when you went to the events, you were just gonna sit there and pre-aim and get every single kill possible.
So you're kind of calling them scrim warriors.
I'm just cool. I don't know.
Fair.
I feel like you have to say they're not very good LAN players in that aspect, because they go like you're pulling up stuff from back then, and the placements aren't as good or whatever like that. I just don't feel like the play style works on LAN.
I'm gonna add.
So yeah, maybe online warriors. Yeah, we'll go back to that.
I'm gonna add too that this is partially then the coach's fault as well. If it's a strategic thing, you have to throw in the factor of the coaches, which again, their coach, I believe his Methods is sick, who used to be on the team for like 6-7 years himself. So it's like, it doesn't really solve your problems when you have your coach who agrees probably with your play style as well. You got to get, an outside, maybe NA player. This is my suggestion in Miami. If you're watching this, find a good NA player, pay Parasite, pay Aches, come have them do the strategy for your team. I guarantee you, I put my left toe on it. You could take it from me. Oh, have Trei. My bad, gangster. Have Trei come in, Eggs, any of these guys who have been on the main stage, been successful, and know strategic COD, have them come in, fix up your camp, and I guarantee you play better. But speaking of playing better, let's hop over to LA Thieves, because they ain't played for shit. So let's hop over to them.
1 in 12. 1 and 12?
12 in their hard points. Look at these player cards. Are there any surprises, or what are the reactions to the LA Thieves player cards and generally the camp placing top 12 in Major 1?
Afro weren't doing that when I was his IGO main AR. Let's just say that he was looking like MVP Afro. Let me tell you that. So, I feel like it just comes down to I don't think like the team was very good. I'll be real with you. Yeah, everything about the team wasn't very good. You know, Cammy. I've always said it. Cammy was the best player in the world at one point on Ultra, and I feel like it's a comfortability thing for him. On Ultra, I feel like he was very, very, very comfortable, and on every team he's been on so far, he's just not been comfortable whatsoever. JoeDeceives, love the kid. You know, I don't feel like anyone in the team's the issue. I just feel like the team just sucks as a team. I don't feel like it's a very team.
It's not a very team.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like, you know, when would you ever think Cammy would hang out with Ghosty? You know what I'm saying?
That's like, what I don't get about these team comps, man. That was the big question I had before the season. I'm like, are they gonna get along? And
has Cammy ever spoke to Ghosty and like had a laugh with him or anything like that? And I'm not saying you need to do that. I'm just saying like that's what makes you a better team. You know, my Vanguard team of Afro, Gizmo, and Nastie, we were always together. We were always having fun. And when the fun stops, you know, you stop, and that is what this team is.
You can tell when you watch their like content when they did like the sit down on the couch. Like when the OpTic guys are there, it's super vibey. Like if Toronto did that content, super vibey. When the Thieves guys are there, you can kind of tell that they're just sitting down. They're like, oh yeah, you know, it's kind of good, but like you can tell that it's not. It's not quite
one of these players spoke outside apart from when they teamed.
I mean, I'll add too that like, so we had Cammy come on to the watch party at the event, and this was on Thursday, so they hadn't played yet. He was hanging out with all the EU guys rather than be with his team. So I didn't bring that up, obviously. I didn't say anything, but like it's a mental note that like he's hanging out with the Challengers Team War guys versus, I mean, I think everyone else in the venue was at least with one of their teammates on a Thursday or Friday, you know, not just sitting with some other people, their family or their team, one of the two. But
yeah, but he's finally made a good point. That's crazy.
Rav, I'm gonna see you again in Miami. Don't start with this shit, okay?
Listen,
no, that was a good point. I'm giving you praise.
I feel like there's no hot takes about this team. All right, let's just, you know, we go iron it out the best we can. The team sucked.
Yeah. Overall, I think that you have a very odd team dynamic put together, not in the vibes, but literally just play styles and who you have together. You have Afro, who again hasn't. Since he, you know, maybe Trei was the key. I don't know. But since that London team hasn't been able to really encompass that talent that he showcased there. Cammy, again, Cold War Cammy, that cliche's played out. Cammy is just not comfortable. He is a vibes type of guy. I know Cammy. He is very much a vibes guy. JoeDeceives, I tweeted about this. He has glimpses of greatness, but in reality, he's a very young kid in Call of Duty. You know what I'm saying? He's a very immature player in Call of Duty. And I'm talking about his not his out-of-game stuff, just in COD, in actual strategic COD. He's a young guy. He was a great ranked play kid and did well in Challengers, but he needs time to develop. I think he can be great. He just needs to get that strategic part of the Call of Duty smarts in his game. Ghosty, I think, is who I would keep to build around. He's a really good player. We've heard before that he checks people. But again, that checking narrative to me is a little dumb, only because it just seems like you need to have some more serious people around him who can take the criticism and maybe take the you know, it's a competition at the end of the day. If you guys are just all about vibes and fun, you're not trying to win. Ghosty, to me, with that feedback, seems like a guy who really cares about winning above all else. And his play style and how he plays the game, he's playing well, but his teammates are just not really supporting him. Considering the team change, right? Let's hop over to those team changes, right? We have them dropping Cammy, benching JoeDeceives to pick up Kremp and Nastie. I think
I would have done that the other. I would have done that the other way around. I would have got rid of Joe and kept Cammy.
Oh, why do you say that? I'm curious.
I feel like you have a bad time with I feel like you have a bad time with Kremp or someone like that. Cammy's on the bench with 2 other European players, where he will be more comfortable. I feel like you get old Cammy back, or somewhat of the old Cammy. Afro, I feel like Afro had a really big say in bringing Nastie back. I don't see a world where Nadeshot was like, we need Byron Fromridge. You know, I don't see a world where he said that. I think they know what needs to be done, and they need Afro back in MVP form, or the form he was in with when we were on London. And him and Nastie worked perfectly together. Like I said, our team on Vanguard was, you know, it was very vibey.
Insane, genuinely.
Very
Until
vibey.
all the shit happened with like when Jay Giz had to go back home and all that. Like
he had to go home. You know, my girl left me. You know, we weren't in the best situations at that point. But you know, like I said, like Afro definitely had a say bringing Nastie back, and I feel like you make Afro comfortable. And you know he'll start becoming himself again, because you know I feel like he is very lonely on that team. You don't mess with
people say
JoeDeceives.
I'm biased when I gas up Afro, but like I don't think people have seen what we've seen in Afro. Like
genuinely, one of the most raw, talented players I've ever played with.
Can I devil's advocate this really quick?
Absolutely.
Because I don't agree with this cheese only because this right on Rokkr. That team was a 3/4 EU team. So what's the argument for him not being comfortable, not really performing that well on the Rokkr team? It was Dylan.
That's a good argument.
Vance,
that
Afro and Cammy.
That is a good argument, and it still stems down to me the fact of I'm pretty sure him and Afro played in challenges together as well. I think it is just that I might just be wrong in a comfortability factor before him, and we're about to find out. Honestly,
true.
I just feel like he needs enabling with someone like that he's been with before, and I feel like Nastie's the guy to do it. And if it don't work, it don't work, and I'll shut up. And you know, maybe if it don't work, he's fell off. You know, I'll come back. I'll bring back the fire. You know.
Oh shit. Okay, I egged him into a hot.
I think it's a good decision to put JoeDeceives on the bench, because I think like you keep the pressure on Afro, right?
Yeah.
But I just think Nastie's so good. Like, I want to believe what you believe about Cammy, Trey. I just don't know if I've got it in me anymore.
I refuse to believe a player of that caliber falls off.
Yeah, I want to see it. Like, I know I've talked about this because he's kind of now Cammy's on that Boston Academy team. At least he was scrimming with them. So I want to see, like, if he cooks on that team and they need another change, Boston's main team. I know people roasted me for saying Cammy, like, for Priest or something. And maybe it wouldn't work and it wouldn't make any sense. But I just want to.
Wait, that was a take.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Wait,
I'm just saying, keep it in mind.
Stop. This is not even the show anymore.
Because many pros have rated Cammy a lot. I don't know. I remember, like, you remember when OpTic wanted Cammy?
Yeah, I 100%
remember that.
I 100% remember that. And
I don't know. I don't know what Slasher thinks about Cammy, but I'm just saying.
I just think that's the rogest thing you've ever said for Priest. The Priest is just got overtaken as the winningest player in.
Is that a crazy take?
Hell yeah, it's a crazy take. That's the most insane shit I've ever heard in my life.
I think. Let me say this, and Priest is a very good friend of mine. I would say that there was a time where I thought Priest was by far not very good.
I can agree with that too.
He was getting absolutely world starred, and I'll back myself on that. I apologize if anyone's a Priest fan, but as a friend, I'm gonna tell him, you were getting world starred back in, what was it, MW2 at the start?
Yeah.
And like I said, maybe Cammy just loves Treyarch games, and I just read something to my right that said, as one of the great, if you want to be the best, you have to thrive in uncomfortable situations. Or in situations where you're just not happy or anything like that. If you can't do that, you're not the best. Like, you compared it to LeBron, where, he was in the worst. He wasn't in a very good team. He was just the best player in the game. And, he won them the chip, and that's a compare. That's a winner. That's winner mentality. And if you can't do that on main stage, or you can't, do that with your team, then, you're not the greatest, or you're not trying to be the greatest.
Yeah. My last hot take about this LA Thieves team is just, yeah, I feel like going into the team when it's a vibey team and comfortability team, if Cam, Afro, some of these guys don't believe that the team is good, that's gonna be reflective in kind of that similar to what you said, but like they need to believe in the squad like it's gonna be good. If they believe automatically like we're kind of a middle of the pack team, they're not gonna perform the way they should. And I will, now I want to give credit to Kremp and Nastie, right? Kremp just, he was performing insanely at the major one challengers, right? He was going absurd. He does deserve a spot, so I will say that. Firstly, Nastie should have never been out of the CDL at any point. It was just kind of awkward placements, right? Awkward rosters and stuff like that, so he kind of got asked out. But with these two guys on the roster, I think you're going to have guys with chips on their shoulders who can take the criticism of Ghosty, along with Afro, hopefully, feeling better of his team and starts piecing like he could. Give him some more freedom around the map. I do think that LAT, this next split, will push up. I'm going to give them probably the top 7 or top 8 spot, at least online. Land, we will see. But with these two new players, that's half your team with some really
It can't get worse,
talent.
bro.
I agree.
It can't get worse.
I agree.
I will say one other thing quickly on this team is that when Kremp used to go by Volant, or whatever the hell he used to go by, he played with Ghosty on the Boston Academy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's a duo. Nastie and Afro a duo. I'm hoping that what you say, Trey, about having some sort of...
Yeah, there's vibes.
They just need to... They need to go out and do some stuff together.
Yeah, that's they need to get the whole team...
That's what we got told to do on Vanguard. That's what we got told to do on Vanguard. Like, go out and bear in mind, I was the one that didn't go out that much because I was in a relationship, so I used to play games and that when I used to go home and whatever like that. So I was the one on our team. But when I could, I would go out. We would go out to Korean barbecue, even just something little, going to Target or Walmart or something like that. But like, getting to know who you're playing with is way better than just spawning in with them every single day. Because you get to know their tendencies outside, and then inside, it's probably the same tendencies. Dead serious.
Yeah, no, and again, you're in LA too. Like, guys, directly to everyone that's on this team, you're living in the best city, arguably in the world. Go outside, go get a dinner, bro. Can you guys go have some fun? Damn, bro. I don't know.
I hate LA.
Nah,
that's a take, guys.
Nah, y'all are trolling, bro. LA's fantastic. You guys from the UK talking when it's raining 75% of the time. I don't want to hear nothing from you. Listen, guys. So I kind of are we good with LA Thieves? Can we jump ahead to Boston?
We can do Boston.
Yeah, let's hop over to Boston because this Boston change is interesting to me. I don't know. Let's see. Here we go. Here are the cards from the event. Man, top 12 record for them over the stage. Any first reactions to Boston or maybe their major performance? I do have a hot take on this one, so I'm going to reserve mine for a little bit here.
I think what they've done makes sense, but go on, Trey.
About a hot take about the team or a hot take about the change?
Whatever you want,
I'll just
free game, baby.
Oh, no. I'm asking Ace. Does he have a hot take about the team, or does he have a hot take about the change?
Are you saying like the organization or the team itself?
What's your hot take based around?
My hot take is based on the rumored take or the rumored change. Excuse me.
Okay.
You want to cook first? You want me to cook right now?
I don't really have anything to cook apart from the fact that the management or like Zed went on stream and said, we're not changing, and then 2 days later changed. I think that's very disrespectful.
Yes.
And I know it's not my place to say or anything like that, but I'm sorry, you don't say we're not changing, and then 1 day later wake up the next day and go, oh, you know what, we're gonna change. That change.
I swear this happens a lot though.
That change was
like
there,
that, bro. Not on stream, on stream, doubling down, saying we're not changing. That's crazy.
Ace, that team change happened at Boston, bro. I'm telling you, that team change happened at Boston. I'm sure.
That's what I thought as well. I'm sure
Asim was walking around, won the event, boom, got the text like, we want you. We're gonna do this, do that.
From my sources. Let me sit up. From my sources, the change was in the works in Boston. It was not done in Boston. That part is true. because this is where
it was done at the bar Sunday night in Boston.
No. It was being worked out in Boston. But the discussion was this, and this is my take, right? This is my take here. My hot take. Capsidal does not deserve to be removed from this team. Okay? I'm ready. The player that deserves to be removed and needs some time to develop, similar to JoeDeceives, is Snoopy, actually. The guy was not playing very well. He was getting some nice 2 pieces and 3 pieces, but if you actually look at his effectiveness on the maps, he wasn't giving them anything. He needs, my argument here was what the team should have done was keep Capsidal in, put Snoopy on the Boston Academy team for Censor or whoever you'd like, bring in Asim, let Snoopy develop, give Capsidal a stage to get better, and if Capsidal doesn't get better, then you have Snoopy there in the pits, grinding it out, being forced to play a lot more, scrim a lot more variety of teams, and get more adaptive to competitive COD, right? You've taken this kid who has some raw talent in a completely different game, who picked up the sticks not too long ago, and thrown him in against Toronto Ultra, you know what I'm saying? Against like the best teams in the world. Like, the kid is good. He has this gun skill, but he's not ready. To me, he looks like a great value Shotzzy, a Walmart Shotzzy. And it doesn't.
Okay, I mean, let's have a think about this real quick.
Go ahead. That's my hot take. That I think Snoopy. Is
I like it. It's a good take.
Yet.
It's a good hot take. I'm not saying it's a good take. Let me clarify that real quick for the chat.
Go ahead.
My feeling is that I have a lot of faith in Slasher as a leader, as a player. I don't know that he didn't play particularly well online, but we turned up to LAN, and what do you know? Slasher drops a 1.4. He's hard carrying the team. I'm not surprised. He's not surprised. I actually talked to him briefly as he was coming up to the couch or whatever, and I was just like, you know, the look in his eyes told me they're making a change. He said something to me. He said, I asked him about the game, and he was like, he said something like, oh, I'll try my best or something like this. And I was like, yeah, there's no way that team says the same. And I think if you're the team, you've also got to understand. I don't know what they think of Snoopy, but if Cap's gone and Snoopy stays, Slasher must think that Snoopy's a valuable asset to stay around. That's my perspective. I am semi-surprised that they just dropped Cap rather than put him to the bench or something, because that's what Thieves have done with Joe. I don't know, they can probably get Cap back. They wanted him, but like they have just completely got rid of him. Like he's not even on the bench or anything. There's talk from Ben, like problems in game, problems out of game, decision making. They both have decision making problems, Snoopy and Cap. You can't have both of them on the same team. And there's an argument that if you keep Cap or keep Snoopy, then one way or the other it's going to work. But I really like this Snoopy kid. I think that he has a lot to give this team. I think he's really willing, from like just what I've known about him and what I've not really talked to him much, but just the vibe I get from him, it feels like a player that's really willing to learn, really willing to improve. He's really fresh to the scene. And yes, he's made some big mistakes in Search and Destroys, like when he fell off the map against New York Online. That weren't great, but I still feel like there's more upside there. And from some of the people I've talked to, they rate Snoopy's talent incredibly highly, significantly higher than Capsidal's. So I think it's the right take. This is my opinion on these rosters, generally speaking. All of these teams should be picking the very highest ceiling players they can find. Because if you pick players that don't have a high enough ceiling and are just like solid players, you ain't getting very far. The top of the league is too stacked. If you want to be a team that can make Sunday, you need to have your team be filled with players that have high ceilings. And if it works, maybe you can win an event. If it doesn't work, you're top 12. But whatever, these teams got top 12 anyway. So I think Asim as an option is probably the perfect fit as well, because the Slasher Asim's success as a duo.
I want to go against that take that you just made right now because it's a terrible take.
Feel free. It's a great take, actually.
Just picking high ceiling players, when you're playing with the caliber of player like Priesta and Slasher, I would argue that Capsidal and Snoopy are both like the best of who they could get. But both are risks, right? Like Capsidal is a younger player as well. Snoopy's a younger player as well. Both of them are a very similar aggressive play style, right? So you're getting two guys who are kind of headbutting each other in terms of gameplay. Plus, nobody really expected this game to be the AR meta that it is, right? It's not really a traditional 2 AR, 2 sub COD. You have two guys here who are definitely playstyle-wise sub players, like for sure sub players. My reasoning for Capsidal, again, I don't want to discredit Snoopy like he's a bad player. His talent and ceiling is high. I agree with Rab. I agree with the chat's probably roasting me and everyone else. Like, I agree with what Boston as an organization sees in Snoopy. The guy is someone you definitely want to build around and have for the future. But you need to give him some time to develop. Capsidal does have, seasons in the CDL. So I think at this exact time, when you want to find immediate success from top 12 and there's not that many majors this year, guys. Anyone watching, there's not that many majors. You need to find success quickly this year. So high ceiling isn't really the payoff you need. You need player that can work in system with Slasher and Priesta, who I would argue out of them two is Capsidal. He doesn't have the higher ceiling, but he can work within the system they need. And then tagging Asim to that, I think is the better, more complete team dynamic. Whereas individually, yes, Snoopy is very good, but he needs time to develop his Call of Duty prowess and understanding of game knowledge before you bet your whole year, season, champ spot, and organization on him right off bat like this.
I mean, it's all about trust, and clearly they trust him. I don't think your take's terrible in terms of like letting someone mature as a player in terms of like giving him a shot on, Boston Academy or something like that. I don't agree the take's bad. I just feel like there's not enough time in the CDL for that to happen. What I do think is they definitely should have kept Cap on the bench. I do agree with that take. Just so they have someone, to fight for as well. Like maybe Asim goes there and doesn't play well, and then they try Cap and Asim. I just think we're at the time now after the first event, if you don't perform well, bar New York, because obviously they had a very good online split. If you're teaming, you need to do something about it. We got another team to talk about in the same scenario, but like if you're teaming, you need to do something about it ASAP. And I do think 2 team changes when a team is doing bad is the best way forward. I think that is the biggest refresh you can do, and I think the only team that's going to really benefit from these changes like properly is going to be LA Thieves, because it's a 2-man change. It's practically a new team. I feel like 2 team changes are the ones that, make the team refresh. And for like 1 team change, has there already been a 1 team change when our team's doing bad, where it's like completely like 180, like 360, like gone crazy good?
A 1-person change?
A 1-person change where a team's doing very, very bad.
Chat might ask to help us out with that one.
Very, very bad to decent. I mean, okay, I won't say that it's the biggest thing, but the impact of a 1-player change can be seen from the Hixie to Envoy. I'll say that. The impact.
But they were already good.
I agree. No, listen. I agree.
I
would also give the argument too that Boston Breach is not a bad team. Slasher was dropping numbers. Priesta was playing very well. It was just, I think it's play styles that was their biggest issue. You had 2 aggressive subs and 2 aggressive players who clearly kind of do the same thing on the map, the same role, playing with each other. And that doesn't work, especially in this game. So I think the 1-player change here with Asim, who really is a lot more calculated.
Aren't Asim and Snoopy the same, though?
No. Why would you say they're the same?
You don't think?
No. Snoopy is
I think it's just both very, very fast players.
I would argue that Asim has tried to slow it down the last couple of years. And again, he's been able to flex out his role, so you have a better traditional player who can play with an AR and a sub, which you need in this game. Whereas Snoopy can be more comfortable just holding his sub out and making the plays he needs to make, right? No one expected, like I said, no one expected the 2 AR, 2 sub. Everyone expected the 2 AR, 2 sub meta, and not what we have now. So they built their team with that in mind. This change, honestly, no matter if they took out Snoopy or Cap, is good for them overall playstyle-wise, because I feel like that was their biggest problem by far. It was just combative playstyles with their 2 newer guys, younger guys. But yeah.
A couple of Toronto examples here of like a 1-man change, because I think 1-man changes can work. I mean, I agree with Trei that I don't think it's ever going to take like a top 12 team to a top 1 team. But I don't think that Boston were a top 12 team. Like I think they're better than their placing suggests. I guess the question I have about Asim is whether they're actually like whether he can keep that up, right? That's always the talking point about Asim. People talking about methods or insight. I don't know if they were bad with methods though. You know what I mean? Like they won with insight, but they were kind of like, well, they're not kind of mid with Zinni. So that's a good example. I mean, Hicks
they won with Zinni though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true. They did win at the end of MW, right? So that's true.
They did win an event with Zinni. I'm strictly.
Smart for Gunless is such a weird one, but that's not really like a change that they made.
Smart was good. Smart was good for one event, bro. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I don't think that really counts. People are saying Mac for Trei MW9. Thoughts?
Online COD got online COD got smoked at champs. Every event after that they got smoked. So
what the fuck? Whoa, they won an event. Calm down, gangster. They won an event.
Yeah, but they couldn't beat me. So terrible change.
That's true, actually.
Then they lost to me at champs. Not shocked.
There you go. We shut that one down.
No, let's we've touched on this team. I think Asim is a good shout. All the argument again for him all the time is he always is good in the beginning of the games, and then he falls off into the latter half. After Major 1, typically he tends to play a lot worse. So he hasn't had much success in the CDL era or the CDL. Once he's in the pro leagues, he hasn't had much success overall. Do you guys think he'll face that same problem again of maybe the Major 1 or first half of the season cheese, or he just finds not finding success on this team? What do we think about Asim's change specifically?
I've noticed Asim's change a lot. It comes along with like midway through the season. That's when typically like. Is that what they do? Their fast?
Oh, you're talking about Ramadan?
Like midway? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that at all. I'm Muslim and I fast too, and I didn't even consider that.
Yeah. So
that's always a talking point.
I'm not saying that's the reason or anything like that. I'm just saying like you go from.
Didn't he cook last year, JurNii? Was it like?
I don't know.
Sometimes it's the Ramadan buff.
When I got dropped, I didn't watch COD, so I couldn't tell you honestly. I just knew they were getting bopped. I'm not trying to say that's the main reason, but I'm saying like, I feel like that is a drop-off point in terms of, it could be after Major 1 or anything like that, but you are, food, water, everything like that, when you're scrimming days in, days out, like it is very, very important. And, maybe that plays a factor into it, but I'm not going to like dwell too much on it, but I know how you like Ace. I know it affects you as a person probably.
Yeah. I would agree with you too. And Lamar, who, obviously accuracy, if people don't know who Lamar is, does that as well, and it does definitely affect him. He's had that Rokkr season where he went from dropping decent numbers, 0.9s, 1.0s, to dropping a 0.6 for a whole month, and then got dropped off Rokkr because the Ramadan nerf really happened to him really hard. And again, even personally, I can say most Ramadans I tend to lose like 15 to 20 pounds every year. So it is very shocking to the body, very hard on the mind, very hard on yourself. So maybe that could be a factor for him. I think what Ramadan in a couple is next month, so hopefully it doesn't hit him.
Like you said, if he fried last season, then my take is completely gone. But I just know how draining it is, like you said, on Lamar, on yourself as well. Like you go from being energized up all the time to not being energized during the day and stuff like that. Because I remember I teamed with him at the time, I think, when he was doing it. If I remember rightly,
FaZe or something,
yeah, or like something like that. And I feel like you can see it, you can see it in someone like when they deteriorate or something like that. So I hope it don't happen. But I just know it is. I know it is mentally draining as well. So
for sure.
But that has my utmost respect for doing that stuff because I would be dead. Honestly, I couldn't do it. I don't have the mental stability for that.
You like your food too much, Trey.
I'll accept on his behalf.
I think Asim has been one of the players for years. I remember during Cold War when there was a big narrative going around about how OpTic needed a player like Asim, because I think he's such a valuable guy to have. Not only is he good, I know that it's it's glazed because the flank guys like him or whatever, but I don't know. I think he was a really valuable player. You guys on FaZe back in the day, and pretty much every team that Asim has been on, I think he's just a type of person. I don't know if you found this, Trey, maybe he was different back then, but just a really good guy to team with. Gets along with people. Great teammate, it seems that way to me. Really positive guy. I don't know if you feel that way, but sometimes you hear comms or I think there's maybe a kind of tendency for that Boston team internally, if things aren't going their way. Let's say you're going into a game 5, you just choked the map 4. Like, Asim's the type of guy to get you into the right headspace.
He's always positive. He will never. He's not going to sit there and be like, oh, I mean, on London, back at last year, I definitely heard we are shit like a numerous amount of times because we were, but we were trying, and he's always positive about that. But the thing with, he has to be confident in the team. And at the start of the London team on last year, he wasn't confident in the team. I had a phone call with him because him and Paul, I don't think, he worked the team with Paul at the time. And, going into that year with that team, knowing that, it's like, oh, we might be choked already, like the FaZe team, he had something to prove. We were going to pick up attach and he snaked on us for EG like at the very last second, and Asim was the only option we had. So it was taking a big risk on him and he had something to prove. I will say the Asim I had in FaZe is completely different to the Asim that I had on London last year, but that's just maturing as a player. And, he knows his worth and how his voice is portrayed in the team in terms of, compared to FaZe, where it was just like, I'm here, I'm just going to listen and take everything on board and fry, compared to now where it's, I know what I'm doing, I'm going to tell other people what to do.
Yeah, I talk to Asim, every couple of weeks and stuff. Like, we have conversations and stuff. Yeah, he's definitely matured a lot as a player since his younger days. You hear about it even in challengers. He's taking some more of a leadership role on his teams because now he's a kind of an older guy in challengers. Kind of, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, he's a mature guy, veteran in challengers. So I think you're gonna see a new version of him on this Boston team. You got a refreshed version, someone who's coming with a lot more reps. And again, one other thing I want to add for a lot of these challengers players that are getting picked up, they've played a whole LAN on this patch that the pros have not even played on. So they're kind of coming in with some respect, at least into saying, okay, I can tell you how this map plays. I've seen it, how it plays. I've seen how these spawns play out. And I can tell you now what we should do. Here's some VOD maybe from our past stuff. Like, Asim's the perfect player coming in from stage 1 to stage 2 that you need to have on your team. He accepts criticism well. He's a vet. He's professional. And he's a really nice fucking guy. I don't know why I had that fucking there, but he's a nice fucking guy, honestly. So, no, I think we've talked a lot about this.
I think Seattle Surge should have got him. I think they moved too slow.
Exactly. So I think now it's time to jump over to these player cards from the event. Top 6 Seattle Surge. Definitely, surprising people a little bit with their play, and also the most surprising thing was their change that they most recently leaked.
Not been announced. It's just rumors.
Leaked.
What the hell is going on over there?
Exactly, right? Like, leaked out.
They can't get scrims. Players are getting dropped. They just got top 6. I'm hearing and listen, we all seen, we won't go into it, but we all seen something on, on Twitter and everyone reacting to it.
Yeah.
We won't go too far into it. I done a tweet about it. The whole of Twitter was talking about it, but we won't delve into that side of things just because out of respect to the players.
Yeah.
But let's talk about.
Trei won't.
Go on, Trei.
I think.
We can. No, you can. Ish, you can. I will chime in if you start it.
Yeah, no, I will have to, only because I got cooked for my tweet, which I'm gonna bring up just because it got a lot more reaction to it than I imagined. But I want to add some context to it because I think I need to, because of how big it got. I didn't expect it to get where it got. My tweet was this. So I quote tweeted the Flank tweet, which they were the ones who report this, right? It's not confirmed. Seattle has not said it yet. So let's be clear. That is not confirmed 100%. But the tweet was, the decision stands out as the worst roster change of the season. iLLeY has consistently been their best player. It's puzzling who Seattle would even consider to pick up to replace him. Everything I said.
Good tweet.
Yeah. Everything I said in this tweet.
It's a correct tweet.
It's correct, right? But obviously it's a tweet, right? I'm not trying to write a paragraph explaining the subtext to this. But let me add it here now for you. Me and Rab were at the event. We saw the interview, right? We saw even other interviews, right? We saw this.
I tried to do an interview with him.
Right. Rab actually, so that's the other subtext to this as well. Rab, post the interview everyone saw out there, tried to do an interview with him, and we, out of courtesy to him and to everyone that belongs to Seattle, Breaking Point decided we're not putting this out. It's better for him, for everyone else. It's a good thing to do. But then I guess somebody from the CDL decided to pull him out and do this interview. But yeah, the subtext to this furthermore is regardless whether he is, going through something, whether he was on caffeine, whether he was on a prescription medication, he didn't look necessarily well visually. However, we can say that, right? He did not look well, and it did not look very normal for what was happening, what we've seen in the past of iLLeY, how he's spoken in interviews in the past, even on OpTic and stuff, right? We've seen him in content be very traditional, right? Normal, talking normal. He has been out of the league for a while. I'm sure he wasn't in the best mindset after losing his dream job on OpTic and dealing with an injury that, it's not something he could have. I'm sure that was a very hard time for himself, right? He could be social anxiety, right? People love to talk about how important mental health and social anxiety is until they might be seeing it right in front of them. I'll say personally, right, the subtext that I didn't add to just this simple tweet. I'm prescribed Adderall. I'm prescribed Ritalin. Both of them. I never abused them. I took both of them to study. But what would happen is if I took it with caffeine or a Coke or a Red Bull or something like that, I would begin to face pick. I would begin to do these eye twitches. I would begin to do these little arm spasms, my back spasms. I would go like this a lot. And visually, if you looked at me, and I wasn't in front of 150,000 people on stream, visually, if you looked at me walking around a college campus, you would think I'm tweaking. And I would have little marks on my face because I'm off of this prescription. I never abused it. I stopped taking it because of that reaction it did to me. Going back to iLLeY, he's in the most competitive setting there can be. You're playing in the CDL for tens of thousands of dollars for yourself, your family, after him specifically not being in the league for a year. He might need this cash. We don't know how hard his situation is. We don't know if he was helping his family. Whether he's taking it or not, that's beside me, and that's all assumptive. I don't like taking the assumption narrative and running with it. I'd prefer to believe the player until there's something else that comes out. He didn't look well, so my last thing to say is, I hope if he is not well, he is doing the best for himself. His family's with him. His organization is with him. And all the community I know wants the best for iLLeY himself. If it was just the case of, maybe he did take a med that he is prescribed, he over-caffeinated because he was on the biggest stage in the world, and that was the reaction after, being a little anxious, people yelling in the crowd, and it is true what he said, then everyone in the entire community owes him a fucking massive apology. Because you costed this man his job by building a narrative that isn't true.
Okay, I mean, I'll let you go in a second, Trey, because I don't know if you have anything to add. I do want to quickly address the last point, because I don't understand how the community has cost him his job at the end of the day. It's on Serge make this decision. We don't even know if he's benched in the first place. It's only speculation as to why he might be benched. I don't really see why the narrative that's been created should be affecting Serge's decision here, because they have more information than we do on exactly what's going on. I think just mainly it's difficult, right? Because people say, oh, it's none of your business, right? It's a player's personal things, which is true, really. But I don't know, as a community, we're kind of more tight-knit than that sometimes. And I think there was an element of concern whether iLLeY's okay, especially given what's happened to other players in recent years, and it's always a topic that comes up every so often. iLLeY's just a great kid, right? He's a great kid, great player. I think people want the best for him, and that's why there was such concern, especially when there was rumors about this type of stuff before. I remember Temp mentioned it on stream a while ago. Even when iLLeY was initially out of OpTic, I think Shotzi made a comment kind of implying that there was some other reason why they didn't continue with him or whatever. And we don't know what those reasons are, but it's just been, that's why some of this narrative has developed, because there's been discussions on it over the past 12 months. And then the interview happens and it's well, holy shit, what other explanations do you want me to come up with? And his teammate is Hook.
I was gonna add to that. are we gonna sit here and act like Hugh didn't get violated for some of for the exact same, for near enough the same thing?
Yeah.
We had Kremp come out with something. We had other players come out with something. We had people roasting him on thing for nearly the same thing. I don't think it's community based if he does get benched or anything like that. I think it's genuinely, something. I believe he is their best player by far. I agree with you on that. You are literally, and to everyone that watches this, you are literally looking at someone who took Adderall to play COD. All right, I'll admit that to you right now. Black Ops 3, I took that to play COD because that was the thing. That's what everyone done. And I got told to be the best player in the world, you had to take it. So I did it. The next year I stopped taking it. Guess what? I won an event. I stopped taking it. All right. You don't need it to win. I just feel like him saying that he was just over caffeinated was probably the dumbest thing he could have said. I feel like there's better ways to go around it, i.e. not saying anything and just dealing with it without tweeting out some, because listen, everyone's been over caffeinated. It ain't no Ace, I'm sure you've had a big Starbucks and something else after. Rab, I'm sure you've been over caffeinated, with the amount of YouTube videos you put out and stuff like that. You don't act like that, bro.
Yeah.
You don't. All right. So, on to Ace's point, yeah, I hope he gets better and whatever like that. Definitely isn't just caffeine, but I hope he doesn't get benched, and I hope it's just genuinely just a little one-off thing, and he never does it again or doesn't look like that again. But I do believe they need to keep him to be good. I just think he needs to sort himself out before, things get out of hand.
Yeah, I do want to. Yeah, I want to add that clarification that the combo is what I'm referring to that can make him act like that. I would speculate if I had a gun in my head and I had to be a betting man, I would assume that he had something else in his system, right? But I would say that the combo of it could obviously get out of hand if you're taking like a caffeine pill or a bunch of Red Bulls. Along with that, you're just a stimulant plus stimulants. That's where you get that kind of tweaky look to you. But overall, whether it's the organization, I would speculate, right? And this is my speculation, that even beyond the organization, the league probably could put down a command like, hey, we just broadcasted this guy to 150,000 people looking like the face of the abuse and the ridicule that esports overall gets with the abuse of amphetamines and these prescriptions. So we need to take a seat back with him and make sure he's okay before continuing time with this player. Because, similar way how the NBA could do a fine to somebody, the CDL, I feel like, can do, give a fine or make a standing point to a player. So in my mind, if I'm Seattle, right, I'm handling this internally, but because this is now saying that he needs to be benched and all that, I feel like that's almost a beyond Seattle thing. I feel like it's maybe a league-wide thing or a league decision that's forcing him to step aside. And obviously we hope for his health and for him it to be a temporary thing so he can get back to, living the dream, playing Call of Duty professionally and performing, to the level he has been throughout this stage.
I don't know if the league's getting involved. I mean,
speculation, like pure speculation.
Did the league care in your day, Trey, the Black Ops 3? Obviously, it's different back then.
What if
I have a lot of things to say, but out of respect for a lot of people, I won't. Just because, but there's been times where people seen some stuff that happens and nothing gets done about it. They don't care. They don't. That's just. But it's also on you as a person. Because I know people do it because of video games. It's also on you as a person to not go overboard with it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't addicted. I didn't take, I didn't take 1 million milligrams a day. I took, 30 to 60 a day. I know players, back in my day who were hitting triple digits. It is an unhealthy way to play, especially, because we are talking about, we're talking about high pressure situations too. Heart starts pounding, that could lead to a bunch of crazy stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's been in the scene. It's been in the scene since Halo first started, I'm pretty sure. In this situation, you know, we got drug tests at the we got drug testing at the events and stuff like that. But you know, I think that's just to show that they look like they're doing something. It don't prove nothing. It just proves that you're on something. You can't. I'm pretty sure you can't even prove how much someone's on. So
that's what Daryl said on Twitter. Like he was actually pretty straight up.
Yeah.
And just said that they do the testing, but you can't tell dosage. So if they have a prescription, it's just fair game, you know.
But again, then it's all the conversation of liberty, right? A person's liberty is kind of in the question as well. Like they have the prescription, they could be overtaking it. We saw, I think us seeing it in the forefront was the biggest problem, I guess, in my mind, because like Trey said, we're not naming names here, but we've seen people take some ridiculous dosages throughout the years, and we just never saw them in front of the camera to be doing the things that we saw them do in private. So
bear in mind, I'm not the first person who spoke about this. You hear Slasher talk about it on stream all the time. You know, Slasher moans on Twitter saying, you know, people taking drugs to play COD. Yeah. You know, it's a known thing. People are prescribed it. It doesn't mean you have to overdo it. You know, there's a reason the prescription is, you know, 10 milligrams, not 10,000.
Yeah.
So it is unfair. It is unfair too if you look at it in that way. EU players can't get prescribed it.
Yeah.
You know, we traveled over there. We were fighting against, you know, the prime. Yeah. we were battling against some prime.
Then you got to find somebody who's gonna go off.
You know, I was waking up to Starbucks. I was waking up to Starbucks bacon, egg, and goudas. They were waking up to something a bit more extra special that I couldn't get hold of. But yeah, I mean, like, we all know it's been there. We all know it's been a problem. Will it ever get sorted out? Probably not. You know, it's not. We're not dealing with narcos here. You know, it's we're not dealing with Pablo Escobar. We're dealing with just prescription drugs that just people might just be overdoing. But in terms of Seattle team, you know, iLLeY can't get dropped. All right, so hopefully that's just a little thing there. If he does get benched, I'm going to assume it's nothing to do with his play. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
I also heard rumors that a Boozer was getting dropped, which is mind blowing to me because he was a very good player for them, if I'm not mistaken.
What?
I saw some stuff on Twitter.
I don't think that was ever. I mean, Abuza did a tweet, and then there was speculation as to whether that meant he was getting dropped. But then Zuma said that, as far as he is aware, Abuza stays, Asti stays, Hook stays, iLLeY's benched.
Yeah, but
like, you know, we don't know what. I mean, it doesn't make. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I just don't understand
the biggest question that like we should, I think, speculate on here is, who would they pick up instead? Everyone that's looked good has been taken. So
I mean, let's talk about one bigger issue too. All right, I don't know who's deciding roles over there, but Abuza was an AR last year, one of the best AR challengers seen. And is he running a sub this year?
I believe
I've seen him with a sub a lot.
Yeah, I think he's running the flex.
Give that guy an AR. Please.
I agree. He should be.
Please give that guy an AR.
I don't get it, man.
Permanent AR.
Please, it makes no sense to me how you get someone that good. You pick him up for the KDs, everything you've seen about him, whilst he's running an AR, and you go, you know what, buddy? Here's a rival 9. You know, take over with this.
He was literally the Scrappy of last year's challenges. Like, he had the same numbers as Scrappy the whole year, basically.
It's unacceptable what goes on with these roles.
I want to jump back to the player cards one time before I make this comment and people can see what I'm speaking on. Let me make sure I'm here. Yeah. So back to the player cards for Seattle, right? You have Hook and ArcCities, right, with the 69 and the 67. If I was the management of Seattle, personally, right, this is no personal shot to the players or anything of that nature, I got to look at iLLeY or Kyler, ArcCities or Hook as the people to drop here, honestly. Bench, drop, whatever it may be, right? If we're talking strictly gameplay, right? Nothing out of game, like the iLLeY situation, right? But if you were watching some of these maps they were playing, Hook was not playing his best Call of Duty in a while, right? Hook was notorious on this OpTic team in MW2 for hitting some routes and kind of being the route man and getting paid for it, right? He had some game-winning plays doing so. Shotzzy with some superstar plays, but Hook would also follow him up. And they were just this duo that, like, you would look at the map and all of a sudden you're getting shot at from this side from Shotzzy and this side from Hook, and this guy's pinching you, and it's just like this insane structure. With this team, I think they need a bit more of a little bit of discipline, someone more solid in terms of discipline. Who, I don't know. This is my issue. I can't tell you who's left to pick up, right? And Asim would have been a great shout for them. But Hook right now in this game is not performing like he was last year on OpTic. Him and iLLeY both, to me, are interchangeable for who could be the person to let go. It really just is determined by who you want to pick up, determines who you have to let go. That's kind of my take on their gameplay stuff with Seattle. Because at some point this season, once iLLeY, Lord willing, gets better, or whatever issue that there is sorted out, once he's back on the team, you have him and Abuza who are playing well. You're going to need somebody else in the mix here to make this team into maybe the top 4 or just more competitive. You can't have guys dropping the numbers that iLLeY and Kyler were over the stage and into this major.
I mean, I'm going to be real. They've got a bigger issue right now. They can't get a scrim.
Yeah. So that's something I mentioned too at the, I guess I first want to say it at the watch party in Boston. But yeah, they've been blacklisted for breaking GAs 14,000 times for some reason. People can't, I don't know what it is about snaking or single tap, but they fucking love it apparently. So
I was playing with iLLeY today. It was like, I want to say like maybe like 2 p.m. my time, which is like, he's in Vancouver, so it's like 6 a.m.
Damn.
And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking like, why is iLLeY still on so late? Like, that's my boy still, you know. But I'm sitting there thinking like, why is he on so late? So I asked him, I was like, iLLeY, what? Like, you not got scrims tomorrow? He goes, no, we can't scrim. I'm like, why? I completely forgot. He goes, because we've broke every GA. Like, no one wants to play us anymore. And like, people are actually taking this seriously. They are fully blacklisted. They cannot get a scrim. And I don't even know when they're going to get let back, because it's not like
I was just going to say, what's like,
it's not like they just broke GAs online in scrims. It's not like they just broke GAs in matches. They broke GAs at LAN too.
Yeah.
They done the trifecta.
Like, the challengers won't screw them either because they want to maintain relationships with the pros, huh?
I don't think they can get challenger scrims either.
I will, lengthwise, if it goes per the rulings that Ghosty put forward in that one video of the LAT podcast video, and then sources I've heard from as well, combining those two together, the amount of GAs they've broken would say this would be insane if it's kept up by pros. But it would mean that they wouldn't have scrims the entire stage ahead.
Oh my god. I thought you were gonna say a month.
No,
I don't think you were gonna say like
the first offense was no warm-ups and then a week of scrims. Because remember they made it harsher. The second offense was a month of scrims. The third offense was for a stage.
Deary me.
So
the other thing is like, who wants to scrim them again? What's the point? It's like, if you're scrimming again, if you're a pro team, you're scrimming. What's my incentive to bring them back into the scrim rotation?
But you know exactly what's gonna happen, bro. They're gonna like the pros might be like, all right, listen, we'll give them one more go. And the first team they scrim, they break a GA. They're probably done for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
What if they blow up their entire team with their 4 brand new players?
Like, I'm not being funny. Like, it's all fun and games when you think about it. You know, like, it's all laughs and stuff like that. Especially when they done it at an event. You know, they got booed and stuff like that. But look who's paying the price now. They got top 6. That's not good enough to make champs.
Yeah.
You know, if they won the event, yeah, they would get scrims because everyone would think they're the best team in the game, even though they've done GAs or whatever like that. But they'd get scrims because they're the best team in the game. They don't give a fuck. No one gives a fuck if they're top 6. Yeah, they just see they got top 6. They just see they just got top 6 because they broke GAs. No, like, it's no one's gonna want to sit there and be like, oh, we need to scrim Seattle. They'd rather go scrim the top challenger team.
Yeah.
So
I think they're, I mean, yeah, respectively, they've broken, I think, what, now it's 3 or 4 times?
They've broken everything that could be broken.
No, well, that's my point. They've broken 3 or 4 times. So the limit that the pros kind of put forward in their rule set was 3. No one assumed that they didn't go past 3 times so fast. So yeah, the real question begs, and this is what my article was on BP as well, is are GAs too soft because it's being implemented only by the pros? At some point in the next, bro, there's so many weeks until the next major, right? There's almost 8 weeks, 7-8 weeks until the next major. At some point, does someone give in and eventually scrim them? My bank, if I, again, gun in my head, I have to pick, would be yes. But for the first couple weeks, I mean, they're going to be really far behind in this game going into these first, at least the first week of qualifier matches, the first 2 weeks of qualifier matches, they're going to have a really rough time. And then considering their best player is going to, you know, speculatively is sitting on the bench.
They might be chalked.
Yeah, this is the worst case scenario for a middle of the pack team that is obviously fighting for their spot at champs. You lost your best player. You don't have scrims. You're fucked. Let's just make it real.
I think this is the first time where a GA, like a repercussion for breaking GAs has been a thing properly. It was at first it was like, oh, we're not scrimming them, and then like, you know, it happened with OpTic and everyone was like, oh, it's OpTic, we got to scrim him, or I was gonna get roasted.
Yeah, then the whole system fell apart, right?
I think this is the first time where everyone's gonna use them as a, you know, as a test dummy, and I truly believe that if that's the way they're going to go about it, and it is for the whole stage, I do believe that they won't get scrims for the whole stage.
Damn. Well, your betting lines don't be no picks on Seattle Surge for sure, because they are
take the unders on Seattle, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, Boozer actually might be in hell.
Yeah,
they might need to. Like, I'm not gonna lie, if Awakening like underperforms or some shit, like they might need to get away. Oh, they might have
why are we throwing Awakening on the bus here?
I'm just saying, bro. Like, I just wanted to see an Abuser Lins duo before the season started.
Trades never happen though. Trades never happen.
I know, it wouldn't happen.
There's a team that always comes worse off. Can go for it.
Can I make my say on who they should pick up? They should pick up put together the duo of Temp and Hook for the time being. I think.
I mean, you might as well.
No, listen. I might get cooked again. I'm okay getting cooked. I get cooked enough for my takes to end up always being right and winning the pick'ems. Whatever, guys. I know ball. We know I know ball. Okay, listen. You bring in Temp because who are your other realistic options? You could bring in Gunless because he's obviously played with iLLeY before.
I think Gunless needs a shot.
Yeah.
Again,
Gunless or Donnie are my only two left vets that could replace the shoes, not fully, of an iLLeY, right? You need a vet. You need someone who could lead the team. You have rookies on this team. You have a rook on this team. You need someone that's going to be there, that gets along with the other two vets, right, Alec and Kyler, and can mesh fast. Like, you don't have time to be, like, teaching someone the system right now. They got to get in, start shooting, and we got to make our way and make it the champs because we don't have scrims. And honestly, you bring a Gunless or a Temp in, their connection now to the challenger scene might allow them to open up to some challenger scrims, getting someone from the challenger scene who's been in there for the start of this game. So that'd be my only two shouts to bring in to the Seattle Surge camp for the time being.
And going back to the trading thing I was talking about, like, it's not like the NBA or something like that. You see where someone gets traded because you think they could be like, they'll get traded for a player just because they feel the player is a better fit for them. In the CDL, it doesn't happen because someone's always going worse off. Whereas I feel like in the NBA, no one really gets worse off. They just get, like, a team gets better, maybe they just get a role player or something like that. That's someone that they don't need. But in the CDL, I just feel like you trade one player for someone else, and one team gets worse, one team gets better. No trades will happen in the CDL. I don't think we'll see that properly.
Yeah, unless they throw in like a bag the other way, it's like, right,
like that's not even a trade at that point though. That's buying
exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's effectively buying them. Yeah, I think that was the rumor. Like when OpTic like got rid of Dashy or something, they were gonna, wasn't it? They were gonna give Dashy to Surge and get Pred back, and they were gonna give Dashy or something like that. There were some rumors anyway.
It would have been cool.
That might be cap.
All it takes is one team to start it, and it will happen, but no one's gonna start it.
Yeah, I think right now there's not many, like, because of how top heavy the league is, it's a lot tougher to really trade into other teams. And those top talents usually get picked up pretty fast onto, you know, someone, let's say like a Booza or something like that, he's not on LA Thieves for a reason, right? People are getting picked up to the better teams pretty quick out the jump. So trades aren't really that effective at this time. I think if the COD League or whatever version of it we get in the next couple of years, trades will start to make more sense as the league starts to balance out. Because we're still fresh. The league's, less than 5 years old? So it's going to take some time for this roster situation, the balancing of the powers of the league to get situated for more trades to happen. Or a trade to happen, honestly. But let's jump over to our last team, though. Like this team, right? Seattle is in hell, but there's one other team that's sitting there with them right now. And that team is going to be Vegas, right? So
yeah, we got to mention them just quickly. I mean, like, we've had a mega show, obviously, today, and thanks all for joining us, but bloody hell.
Yeah, we're at 2 hours.
If Vegas don't make a change,
20,
I'm kind of mind blown.
Yeah, so
they're not making a change.
Are they not, Trey?
From what I've heard, my sources are saying that they're not making a change because everyone that they would think of getting is already picked up. So similar problem, right? Seattle and them are in a very similar situation now. If the rumors are true with iLLeY and this team, the top candidates, the top 3-4 players are all gone. And now you're kind of like, am I willing to take a risk?
Surely there's guys out there like Luna, something like that you've got to give a go.
But think about it, Rap. Think about this, though. Are you willing to take a massive risk when your team is already an experimental risk?
Yeah, they got top 8.
Probably
2 and 7 in control. These
I'm probably listen. Is it a risk if they're already shit?
I mean, I guess, but again,
it can't. Like we say this all the time. It can't get worse.
But they're not making champs at this rate. They're not making champs at this level.
But I feel particularly bad because I think Attach and Nero are playing. Attach is playing great. Let's be honest.
I'm not here to be a dick.
The trio is good.
I'm not here to be a dick. 0.46 is crazy.
For the win. 3-0 dub.
Get a kill. Help out your boys.
Yeah, I really hoped Purge was going to come to LAN and show out, right? Like showcase why he was a Challengers champ and showcase why he's picked up. Maybe online COD, he was just getting the shortest end of the stick the entire time. But then he shows up, has a good series, but the other series drops one of the worst KDs we've seen in COD history in a series.
When you're coming from Challengers, you've got to show why you've been picked up to Attach. It's not like someone that's new. It's not like an experimental 4 players or anything like that. You're dealing with Attach who's been there, done that. He needs to have faith in you. Nero. Nero is a very good sub player in my opinion. He's very, I think he's very aggressive. He pops the craziest 4 pieces. Standy, very methodical player. I'm still intrigued to know how Nero Standy works. I don't know how the roles on this team work. I know Purge ARs, a 0.46 for an AR is crazy. I thought he had a sub in his hands or using a Renetti only, doing like a 5 gifted chal or something like that. It is wild, and no disrespect, but you can't have this. You can't have this in the top. Like you're supposed to be a top. What? How many players are in the league? You're supposed to be a top player in the world. You got to figure it out. Yeah, and everyone on this team's got to figure it out because on paper this team don't even look bad. I'll be real. It don't even look bad.
I have one argument to that. Only one.
Go on.
You touched on it. The Nero Standy combo is a similar problem to the Capsidal Snoopy problem. Except now you just have 2 vets, right? Like not vets, but like younger guys, but they've had their time in the league. So, but it kind of is combative in terms of two like more aggressive players. Standy does bait a little bit and play a little slow, but I think you just have an oddity of play styles on one team. You need to get some pacing issues fixed, and then you also need to fix the pacing issue that's the 0.46 of Purge. So you need to fix that as well. I think those 2 things would make Vegas have a good foundation, good core. If I'm them personally, I'm coaching, I'm keeping Dylan, I'm keeping Nero, and I'm trying to switch out Purge immediately and then assessing Standy for another stage. That's my take of their team.
I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I feel like coaches need to do more in terms of maturing players and developing players. You get to see the ins and outs of a team from how they sit when they're at their desk to how they act in person at LAN, to, you know, picking up new kids that straight off the press from winning challenges. You got to mature them as players, and I feel like, you know, from what I can see, that doesn't happen as much. You know, you see, you know, we're talking about Purge right now. You know, we're shitting on him for playing not very well. You know, I feel like if he doesn't get dropped, that's got to be a coach thing, and the players have to trust him, and the coach has got to trust him. But the coach has to mature this player into believing he is as good as he was in challenges to now, instead of, like, you know, if they're not going to drop him, they have to have full faith in him, and everyone on that team has to trust him. If they don't, it's chalked.
Absolutely.
That's actually really well
I think it's a great
said.
take. You said that kind of perfectly. Yeah.
That's probably a good way to close out.
Yeah, I think
that is a good message.
Okay, I think final thoughts on stage 2. Any final thoughts basically going into this stage 2 for any of us here? Like, any final thoughts coming in? What are you excited about for stage 2? What are you looking forward to besides obviously being together in Speedos in Miami on a beach? Obviously, guys. Besides that, what are we excited for going into this Major 2?
Go on, Rab, you take it first. I'll go last on this one.
Okay.
There's a couple of key storylines I'm keeping my eyes on. One actual really good one for this upcoming weekend is LA Thieves versus OpTic, because it's the first time that matchup comes into play this season. And Kenny made a kind of quip remark on stream to Kremp after he got smoked in an 8's lobby the other week, saying that Kremp's never going to get back into the league, this guy's trash, all this stuff. And they play first weekend back. So I'm buzzing for that one. I think my other key storyline to look at is the subline, because if they start off badly this stint, then there will be serious questions raised about that team, and whether the move that they made was not wise. I just wish that this upcoming stage there were more kind of packed weekends, because there's quite a few Fridays this with like 2 matches. And sometimes that's just going to be dull, but that's just the way the CDL do it, unfortunately.
I'm excited for this because I'm excited to see this new patch play out. It's more punishing to the flank, teams that flank a lot. It's more punishing just to spawns overall. We do have the rumor that essentially highly likely, because I'm essentially the rumor mill for this one, but JP and I are saying that the Rio hardpoint is going to be swapped in for a terminal hardpoint. That's still in the highest likelihood going to happen. So I'm very excited to see that map play out. If anyone gets a chance to, when you load in the game, go to private match or find a pub lobby if the Rio playlist is still up, and try it out. It's actually kind of fun to play. It's a good traditional 3-lane map, has a few cuts, and they based it on past competitive maps. So it's meant to be played in comp. So it's fun to play. I'm excited to see how that plays out with these pro teams, and just the storylines of these new roster changes. And I still think there's so many moving parts to a lot of these teams that, who knows, midway through this stage, and even after Major 2, I think we see a whole nother wave of new roster changes, new players getting picked up.
I'll be there.
100%. New challengers kids, new challengers kids like making a name for themselves. There's so much brewing in the CDL right now, and so much brewing amongst all these teams that, I don't know. I'm excited to just see how it all plays out. Bar none. That's it. Just how it all plays out. There's so much boiled up that's ready to boil out of the pot right now.
I'm excited to see if Ultra can carry on. I think if they carry that on, it will be very impressive to not only do it as well as they did, but like in the style they did it. If they carry that on for the online matches too, I genuinely don't see them losing. I'm also looking forward to the new rosters. You know, I've said it a numerous amount of times. I think this is the worst state the CDL has looked in terms of teams and how competitive the league is. You know, back 2 years ago, whatever like that, you had people causing upsets against OpTic. You know, FaZe had an upset here and there, but now I just don't see it. So I'm hoping we can see a bunch of this stuff happening. And the league is more competitive for the next stage and more so. I'm just looking forward to, you know, seeing you boys in Miami. Let's be real. It's going to be an absolute pleasure. But I'm just hoping good matches. You know, like Rab said, there's not many matches this weekend. We got 2 on Friday.
It's not even this Friday, but it's next Friday.
Yeah, next Friday.
Another week off. Gee, oh my god.
February 7th.
You know, I'm just excited for this, to watch more COD and see how it develops, because I truly hope for viewers in particular that the COD we watch is better and sweatier than we've been given so far this year.
Lovely. Well, guys, I want you guys, thank you for watching DopeCheck episode 6. A reminder, Trey will be joining us during watch parties, DopeCheck, live watch parties, and everything. Also, keep in mind that we are now doing also Breaking Point watch parties every weekend for the matches. So you could come sit with us, tune in with us live on YouTube. We will be doing those watch parties for all the matches. Likely I'll be there. Trey will pop in. Rab will pop in when he can. Obviously, mans are busy out here. But we'll have special guests coming on throughout the watch parties to join us and have a good time. But thank you for watching. We appreciate you. And we'll be back next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern for DopeCheck episode 7. Later, y'all.